Good evening. For the first time in the history of the show, we are 10 seconds early.
10 seconds early, yeah.
Yep, that's exciting. So it's now actually 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been posting a link in here on Grail Country. I don't know how Nate feels about that, but here we are. I've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah. Nate is never on the Discord, hardly ever.
Oh, that's true. Let's see.
I'm sure he's busy lately, so I haven't seen hide nor hair of him, to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Yeah.
Let's see, but I'm a, what you call it, a periphery member of TL, I think.
Me too, now, in a way. Not that anybody would say that, but I feel like it compared to my engagement before.
Yeah. Well, so is it self-imposed exile, or do you feel that you've been sidelined, or both?
What a question. I don't know how to say it. Like when I gave my slow goodbye, I kind of explained it as things have taken certain turns that I'm not so copacetic with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think I had a line in there like, when did the sheriff arrive in town? And, how didn't we notice the schoolhouse being built right next to the courthouse? Okay.
Right.
That's my metaphor for, I'm very much a say what I think kind of person.
Yeah.
And I thought the corner was like that, but it's not.
No.
To be honest. It's not.
It's not. No.
Because there's certain taboo subjects.
Right.
And for me, nothing is taboo.
Same. That's why we're friends. I don't, you know what? So back from my days of Buddhist meditation, that's one Zen koan I like, which is, if you meet the Buddha, slay him.
Ooh.
If you meet the Buddha, kill him. Right? It's this idea of not having sacred cows. Right? Everything should be open to scrutiny and debate. Now, that being said, there are some things I don't talk about publicly.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, there are sacred things in my life and sacred subjects that I don't talk about publicly. I'll talk about with friends, but I won't talk publicly. But that's a little different than
that's personal.
I mean, someone's pet doctrine who doesn't who wants to talk about it but doesn't want to be disagreed with drives me crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I sent you the conversation. I don't know if it was this morning, but I was listening to it, and it's a favorite channel that I like. I think it's David Perel, and he interviewed a woman. She's Turkish, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to watch it. I was very busy today.
I'm sure.
But I definitely will.
Yeah, and she talks about her writing process, and one of the things. Okay, so here's what I loved about this woman. She's very.
I'll share a link to the video, by the way. I'll throw it.
Yeah.
I just threw it in the chat.
Perfect. She's very soft-spoken. She writes about beautiful things. According to him, I've never read any of her work. She's a novelist. Mm-hmm. She takes the tiniest thing, like he used the example of water, and she just expounds on water in ways that most people don't think about,
Mm-hmm.
But here's the deal. He asked her about what does she do when she's writing? Like, does she like to be in a noisy place? Does she like to be in a quiet place? Does she like music? Does she not like music?
Mm-hmm.
She said she usually puts on headphones and listens to death metal. while she's writing.
Well, that's
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
I'm all ears because it's contradictory. And there's something beautiful about listening to a person who can hold themselves in that kind of tension.
Yes.
And still draw strength, beauty, goodness, truth, right, from it. So
that's interesting.
It is listen, for me, Jeremy, it's sorry, sometimes I feel like a school teacher and I really shouldn't say things like that. Listen to me.
It's okay.
But it's me.
Right. I'm used to it. It's all right.
I'm excited. Okay. That's me getting excited. That's how you suffer well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is how you suffer well. Because, honestly, when you are suffering, you are in a place of tension. That's just bottom line. Okay. That's what suffering is. You would like things to be like this, but they're like this instead. And you have to move in that space in some kind of normalcy, whatever it is. And if you can't hold that tension, you're going to fall apart. Like it's just going to destroy you.
Right.
It'll drag you. It'll grab you by the feet and drag you right down to the bottom, and you'll be overcome.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree with you. It goes back to what we talked about a few weeks ago, but like that message from my priest, which he brought from Romania, which was, when you're suffering, the best thing to do is to go to your icon corner and to thank God for him paying attention to you and ask him if it's at all possible to give you more. Right. It's like embracing it. And when you embrace it and you can stay there and not turn to your regular comforts, right? Not turn to your old habits or not turn to the things that would bring you comfort. And you just stay there being uncomfortable and thanking God at the same time. It's like, that's a very high level of practice. That's a very high level of spiritual practice.
This is, to me, this is what Jesus is talking about when he says, when you're fasting, wash your face, get up and wash your face.
Yeah.
And don't appear as a fasting person to anybody.
Right.
Yeah. Not to yourself, especially. To look into the mirror and say, I'm fasting. Look at me. Yeah. And then, wander around like that. No. And I remember, I think I mentioned this to you before, but when I was recovering from like major depression, that's what I kept in my mind. No matter how hard it was for me to shuffle to the bathroom and wash my face, I did it. And it made all the difference.
Yeah.
It did. It made all the difference. And I just kept saying, Lord, you really know how to give good advice, because this is working for me. Just getting up and washing my face, not wallowing in my whatever, Yeah.
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 It reminds me in my freshman year of college, it was right after Christmas break, we got back to school, and over a period of like 2 weeks, I kind of developed a pretty bad case of pancreatitis. And then I just got really depressed at the same time. All of it kind of stacked up. And I went quite a while without showering, and I really couldn't eat much either, because pancreatitis, it's like anything hurts,
Yeah.
So I was just like eating as little as possible, just like bread and water basically, or like Hawaiian punch would actually be okay. But anyway, I finally had a friend who was really worried about me, and because I hadn't left my room in weeks, and she came over. It was in January, and she came over and she started taking off her shirt, and I was like, hello, what's going on here? And she had her swimsuit on underneath, and she goes, you and I are going to take a shower.
Oh,
And she had brought a bag of, bath stuff, and we walked down because, I was in dorms, so there was a communal shower. So we walked down, and she helped me take a shower. And you're right, it turned a corner, right? It was like allowed me to snap out of the spiral, and get out of my own head and start coming back to life. So
here's a snapshot of my life at 17. I had left home. Yeah, really.
Yeah.
What a good
God
friend.
bless Tiffany.
And that's what I want to mention is someone who was a good friend to me. So I was 17 and I had left home and I was completely devastated. So there were some other things that happened to me after I left home that were really traumatic. And I had my own apartment. I paid $60 a month for a furnished apartment. Shabby, but whatever. And it was above a vacuum cleaning store, a vacuum cleaning repair store.
Nice.
And it had this old TV with rabbit ears.
Yeah.
In the wooden, console kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And all the plates were like melamine, and there was like 80 of them in the cupboard, And so I never did the dishes. I just ate. I ate, and all I ate was Kraft dinner.
That's macaroni and cheese for the Americans.
Because I didn't have a good job. I worked in a dry cleaners, and I made what did I make? Like $40 a week or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was paying $60 a month for my apartment.
Did you put ketchup on your mac and cheese, on your Kraft dinner?
I did not. I did not one of those.
What Canadian are you?
But anyway, and I would, after I ate, I don't call that food, but whatever. I would sit down and watch the Waltons and cry. Sit in a chair, just sit there and cry. Because they were a family, and I didn't have one. And my best friend from high school, like I moved back to this town that we had left. We had moved away from like 3 years earlier. I moved back to that town, and anyway, she'd show up. What are you doing? And she was spying on me, right? And as soon as she'd see me in that state, she'd be like, boom, the door would fly open. She'd come in, she'd have groceries, and she would wash all my dishes and talk to me while I sat there silently, crying, watching the Waltons,
Yeah.
It was just awful. But when I think back to what true friendship is, that's getting emotional. That's what I remember. I remember her,
Yes.
So true friends are amazing.
Well, they can save your life.
She
did.
did.
Happened to me. Yeah, me too.
Saved my life. But I have to tell you her story. Okay.
Yeah.
Because if anybody had the right to sit in that chair and cry, it was her watching the Waltons. She came from a family. Her father was a jeweler. He owned a jewelry store in this town. And when she was 8 years old, and they were, upper middle class, let's say, and she was the third youngest out of 6. And when she was 8 years old, her father was murdered. And because he owed money to the mob, which was quite active in this town. And then after his death, after his funeral, they showed up at the house and they cleaned everything out of it, literally. She remembers sitting on the stairs and then just lugging all their stuff out of the house, all their belongings, right? So her mom and the 6 kids were left destitute. Her mother remarried a man I have to tell this story because it's just insanity.
Sure.
Her mother remarried a man who was an inmate at a psychiatric hospital in the same town, but had graduated to becoming the janitor at that same psychiatric hospital. So he had a job, and but he was very odd looking. Like, he was super tall, and which, I'm not saying that's odd looking, but he was like extraordinarily tall. He had overly large features, facial features, his hands, that kind of thing. And he spoke as if he were mentally retarded. And I know we don't use that term anymore, but what are you going to call that? Like, he wasn't autistic. He was definitely like, kind of, he stayed behind in some weird way. Anyway, and obviously had psychiatric problems, because he was there this was at the time before they shut them all down, right? So she married this man, probably out of desperation. Wow. And his idea of a date night was taking her out to XXX movies. Seriously. Okay. That was his idea of a date night. And in their living room, they had a couch and then coffee, and stacked on the coffee tables were all these, Hustler, Penthouse, all these, magazines. He didn't like any of her children. He had a padlock on their bedroom door because he believed the children were all trying to steal things from him, which was probably true, because here's the deal. The oldest daughter was okay. She married a guy, they had a kid, and they lived, like, she was quite a bit older than my friend. Then there was the brother Danny, who was he was addicted to heroin, and he sniffed glue, and he lived on the streets. And then there was Michelle. She was a prostitute in Toronto. Then there was Monica, my friend. And then Johnny, when I met Monica, Johnny was in juvenile detention for theft. And her youngest brother was just a little kid at the time, but he ended up schizophrenic and tried to kill his mother. So he got put away. Okay. This was the family.
Yeah. Wow.
And I remember when I lived there with my family and we used to do overnights, she would page through cosmopolitan magazines. And she would say, Shari, I'm above all this bullshit. Okay. And this is what I'm going to have. I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do. She went and got a business. She went to college. She got a business degree. Hey, Slack. And she married an architect and had a family.
Wow.
But here's the deal. She didn't just look after me. She looked after her whole family. Her brother Danny died of an overdose when I was living there, when I was 17. He died of an overdose. He used to do petty crime to get into jail for the winter because it's too cold to be on the street.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Anyway, I don't know what happened to Johnny. Michelle had a kid. I think Monica raised it. Anyway, she looked after her mother.
Wow. Just a very strong person.
Can you imagine?
Resilient.
Yeah.
Like, miraculously so.
Like over the top, Jeremy. Like over the top.
Yeah.
Just take that little story in. Just take it in.
Right.
It's just insane.
Yeah.
And she did it.
Wow.
And not only did she do it for herself, but she did it for her whole family.
Yeah.
And me.
Yeah, it's rare to find someone like that.
Yeah.
Well, on that note.
Well, hey, you know what?
A lot of Lives of the Saints to talk about tonight.
This ties in to St. Wenceslas.
Okay.
Right? He looked after that was his heart. He was a caregiving man.
Yep.
Just like Monica.
Well, and I have a couple of surprises for you. We've got some surprise saints. Because the story of St. Wenceslas and the story of his grandmother, St. Ludmila, are both pretty short. And so we dug into the archives. And we got some good stuff this week. Because we've got two heavy hitters this week.
Okay. Well, I think St. Wenceslas and Ludmila are pretty heavy hitters, actually.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I know. I agree with you. But I'm saying there were. Well, I was telling my wife and daughter about the show tonight, and they were like, "What about?" And what about? And I was like, okay. So they got included. They were
that's what we're here for. So
last minute substitutes. Yeah, not substitutes, but last minute additions. Very welcome. So, but I'm still going to hold the tension of you have to stick around if you want to know who it is.
Yeah.
But let's say a prayer real quick. O Lord Jesus Christ, open the eyes of my heart that I may hear your word and understand and do your will, for I am a sojourner upon the earth. Hide not your commandments from me, but open my eyes that I may perceive the wonders of your law. Speak unto me the hidden and secret things of your wisdom. On you do I set my hope, O my God, that you shall enlighten my mind and understanding with the light of your knowledge, not only to cherish those things which are written, but to do them. For you are the enlightenment of those who lie in darkness, and from you comes every good deed and every gift. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so we will pull up St. Wenceslas here and over here, and we share. Where's it going? Where'd it go? There it is. We got it. That one. Share. Okay. So this one comes from the Synaxarion. This version of his life comes from this lovely collection, which is hard to see. The Synaxarion. My camera doesn't want to. I have it with the soft focus, and it never wants to focus on anything except my. I would rather it focused on the background than my face, but here we are. Anyway,
Jeremy, I'm just so you know, I'm gonna knit while I listen because I listen really good when I'm knitting.
I understand, no problem. This is really short. This is just a couple of paragraphs. Well, and so what happened was, oh, you know what? Because I realized this is the memory of the translation of his relics. He's actually no. Anyway. I'll read this and we'll go from there. St. Wenceslas was the grandson of St. Ludmila. Notwithstanding his high rank, he ordered his life by the faith and example of the great ascetics. He strengthened the orthodox faith of his people and was ever watchful lest any be unjustly condemned in his courts. In his zeal for the faith of Christ and in his love for his neighbor, Wenceslas purchased heathen children who were being sold as slaves, baptized them, and provided for their education as Christians. He translated St. John's Gospel into Czech. He enshrined the relics of St. Vitus and of St. Ludmila in Prague. St. Wenceslas was assassinated while the guest of his brother Boleslav. As soon as he seized power, Boleslav invited clergy from Germany to Bohemia, and the Latin service became the rule in the churches. St. Wenceslas died in 929. His holy relics lie in the church of St. Vitus in Prague. I wish I would have known that was in Prague, because I definitely would have gone and venerated his relics.
So what's interesting I found about this story is that his father had married a woman who was pagan, and she was not happy with the Christianization of her people.
Right.
And because Wenceslas was the oldest, he was going to take the throne when his father died, and his father died, I think, young and unexpectedly or something. And his grandmother, Ludmila, raised him in the Lord as a Christian. And his mother raised Borislav to hate Christianity.
Right.
Her name was Dragomir. That sounds so evil.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was responsible. So Ludmila, when Wenceslas, I don't know if it was when Wenceslas was made king or when he was of age or something, she went and retired, and that her daughter-in-law had her murdered.
Right.
And then Borislav murdered his brother. So
Yes.
it's a pretty nasty story, actually.
Yeah, and actually, there's a longer version on Wikipedia of all places. Hold on, let me see. Let me see if the one on OCA was more.
It wasn't that much on OCA.
Yeah, no. I'll pull up the one on. I'll pull up the one from.
Wikipedia.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me share this.
I know it's not the Cynicsarian, but it's it's historical.
No, it's fine. It's a good story. Yeah, I have no problem with it. But first, I'm going to share this life of King Wenceslas in Slavic, in Church Slavic. If you can read it, here you go.
Wow,
it is beautiful. It's handwritten.
It is. Yeah. How old is that, Jeremy?
Let's see. 1,000 publication. 1,000.
Wow.
So this is 1,025 years old or so.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I found this. I found this earlier today. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, very.
Anyway, yeah, I like the stuff at top. Red, in red at the top. That's nice. And then this nice beginning letter
embellishment there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice. I like that a lot.
Nice.
Okay. Wenceslas was born the son of Radislas the First, Duke of Bohemia, from the Przemyslid dynasty. His grandfather and grandmother, Bohemia, and Ludmila had been converted by Cyril and Methodius to Byzantine Christianity in a still unified Christendom before the Great Schism. His mother, Drahomira, was the daughter of a chief of the Haveli, but was baptized at the time of her marriage. His paternal grandmother, Ludmila of Bohemia, saw to it that he was educated in the Old Church Slavonic liturgical language, and at an early age, Wenceslas was sent to the college at Budek. In 921, when Wenceslas was about 13, his father died, and his grandmother became regent. Jealous of the influence Ludmila wielded over Wenceslas, Drahomira arranged to have her killed. Ludmila was at Tetin Castle near Borun when assassins murdered her on the 15th of September, 921. She is said to have been strangled by them with her veil. She was at first buried in the church of St. Michael at Tetin, but her remains were later removed, probably by Wenceslas, to the church of St. George in Prague, which had been built by his father. Drahomira then assumed the role of regent and immediately initiated measures against Christians. When Wenceslas was 18, those Christian nobles who remained rebelled against Drahomira. The uprising was successful, and Drahomira was sent into exile to Budek. With the noble support, Wenceslas took control of the government. He reined in the independent dukes who had become restive under the regency and used Christianity to strengthen his state. After the fall of Great Moravia, rulers of the Bohemian Duchy had to deal both with continuous raids by the Magyars and the forces of the Saxon and East Frankish king Henry the Fowler, who had started several eastern campaigns into the adjacent lands of the Polabian Slavs, Wenceslas's mother's homeland. To withstand Saxon overlordship, Wenceslas's father, Radislas, had forged an alliance with the Bavarian Duke Arnulf, a fierce opponent of King Henry at the time. The alliance became worthless when Arnulf and Henry reconciled at Regensburg in 921. Early in 929, the joint forces of Duke Arnulf of Bavaria and King Henry I the Fowler reached Prague in a sudden attack that forced Wenceslas to resume payment of a tribute first imposed by the East Frankish king Arnulf at Carinthia in 895. Henry had been forced to pay a huge tribute to the Magyars in 926 and needed the Bohemian tribute, which Wenceslas probably refused to pay after Arnulf and Henry reconciled. Another possible reason for the attack was the formation of the anti-Saxon alliance between Bohemia, the Polabian Slavs, and the Magyars. Wenceslas introduced German priests into his realm and favored the Latin rite instead of the Old Slavic, which had gone into disuse in many places for want of priests. He also founded a rotunda consecrated to St. Vitus at Prague Castle in Prague that was the basis of present-day St. Vitus Cathedral. That kind of differs with the story that we read in the Orthodox.
Yeah, it does, yeah. It was his brother that favored it.
Yeah, I bet some of our Catholic brothers edited this part. In September 935, a group of nobles allied with Wenceslas's younger brother, Boleslav, plotted to kill him. Oops, sorry. I didn't read the right emphasis on that. In September 935, a group of nobles allied with Wenceslas's younger brother, Boleslav, plotted to kill him. After Boleslav invited Wenceslas to a celebration of the feast of Saints Cosmas and Damian in Seraboleslav, 3 of Boleslav's companions fell on the Duke and stabbed him to death. As the Duke fell, Boleslav ran him through with a lance. According to Cosmos of Prague's Chronica Bohemiarum of the early 12th century, one of Boleslav's sons was born on the day of Wenceslas's death. Because of the ominous circumstance of his birth, the infant was named Strakvas, which means a dreadful feast.
Oh.
There is also a tradition that Wenceslas's loyal servant Podvin avenged his death by killing one of the chief conspirators, an act for which Boleslav executed him. Wenceslas's assassination has been characterized as an important turning point in early Bohemian history, as the rule of Boleslav saw him renounce the Franks, centralize power in Bohemia, and expand the territory of the polity. He was also known as Boleslav the Cruel.
Yeah.
So then he was considered a martyr and a saint immediately after his death.
There's a hagiography there. I think.
Oh, here? Yeah. But his deeds I think you know better than I could tell you, for as is read in his passion, no one doubts that rising every night from his noble bed with bare feet and only one chamberlain, he went around to God's churches and gave alms generously to widows, orphans, those in prison, and afflicted by every difficulty, so much so that he was considered not a prince, but the father of all the wretched.
Oh, wow.
Several centuries later, Pope Pius asserted this legend as fact. Well, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Then he starts showing up after his repose and helping other people.
Yeah.
Okay. He is the subject of the popular St. Stephen's Day, celebrated on December 26th in the West. Carol, or the Good King Wenceslas, which is a Christmas carol that some of you may know, some of you may not. If you're an uncircumcised Philistine, you may not be familiar with it.
I love that Christmas carol.
Oh, it's a great song. Okay, I think that's all I will go into. Mm-hmm. And then we'll talk about his grandmother, Saint Ludmila.
Yeah.
Which one do I have? I think I have her. Did I scan her? No. Where did I put it? Where'd I put it? Here it is. I found it. Martyr Ludmila, the grandmother of Saint Wenceslas, Prince of the Czechs. The holy martyr Ludmila, a Czech or Bohemian princess, was married to the Czech prince Borovoj. Both spouses received holy baptism from Saint Methodius, Archbishop of Moravia and enlightener of the Slavs. As Christians, they showed concern for the enlightening of their subjects with the light of the true faith. They built churches and invited priests to celebrate the divine services. Prince Borovoj died early at age 36, and Saint Ludmila, as a widow, led an austere, pious life and continued to be concerned for the church during the reign of her son Bratislav, which lasted for 33 years. Bratislav was married to Dragomira, with whom he had a son, Wenceslas. After the death of Bratislav, 18-year-old Wenceslas came on the throne. Taking advantage of the inexperience and youth of her son, Dragomira began to introduce pagan manners and customs in the country. Saint Ludmila, of course, opposed this. Dragomira came to hate her mother-in-law and tried to destroy her. When Saint Ludmila moved away to the city of Tekin, Dragomira sent 2 boyars in secret to murder her. Saint Ludmila was praying at the time, and the 2 assassins entered the house and carried out Dragomira's orders. The relics of the holy martyr Ludmila were buried in Tekin in the city wall. Numerous healings occurred at her grave. Prince Vyacheslav transferred the body of Saint Ludmila to the city of Prague and placed it in the church of St. George.
Mm-hmm.
And she's commemorated on September 16th. Okay.
Here comes
heavy hitter number 1. We're saving the most, I don't know how to put it. Well, we'll just get to it. We'll get to it in a minute. But we have to talk about Saint Basil the Great, because tomorrow is his name day, January 1st.
Okay.
And there is on the 1st of January, we have Divine Liturgy, and after Divine Liturgy, people bring Vasilopita bread, which is actually a really nice cake. It's like a really heavy, dense pound cake. And you hide a coin when you make the cake. You hide a coin somewhere inside the cake.
Right.
Whoever gets the coin has a blessed year. Saint Basil the Great. This one is a little long. I don't know.
He's got a bit of a resume, that guy.
Yeah, a little bit. He's widely known and widely renowned. But so I might skip a couple of paragraphs here. So if you're reading along, forgive me. But we've got a lot to get to tonight. Saint Basil the Great, Archbishop of Caesarea in Cappadocia, belongs not to the Church of Caesarea alone, nor merely to his own time, nor was he of benefit only to his own kinsmen, but rather to all lands and cities worldwide, and to all people he brought and still brings benefit. And for Christians, he always was and will be a most salvific teacher. Thus spoke Saint Basil's contemporary, Saint Amphilocius, Bishop of Iconium. Saint Basil was born in the year 330 at Caesarea, the administrative center of Cappadocia. He was of illustrative lineage, famed for its eminence and wealth, and zealous for the Christian faith. The saint's grandfather and grandmother on his father's side had to hide in the forests of Pontus for 7 years during the persecution under Diocletian. Saint Basil's mother, Saint Amelia, was the daughter of a martyr. On the Greek calendar, she is commemorated on May 30th. Saint Basil's father was also named Basil. He was a lawyer and renowned rhetorician and lived at Caesarea. The children were born to the elder Basil and Amelia, 5 sons and 5 daughters. 5 of them were later numbered among the saints. Basil the Great, Macrina, was an exemplar of ascetic life and exerted strong influence on the life and character of Saint Basil the Great. Gregory, afterwards Bishop of Nyssa, so Saint Gregory of Nyssa is his brother, and Saint Macrina is his sister. Saint Peter, Bishop of Sebast, is his brother, and Saint Theosebia, a deaconess, is his sister. So a mother for a saint and 4 siblings who are saints. What about the other 5, though? I wonder how they feel. Or they're just like, guess we all can't be Saint Basil. Anyway, sorry. Saint Basil spent the first years of his life on an estate belonging to his parents at the river Iris, where he was raised under the supervision of his mother Amelia and grandmother Macrina. They were women of great refinement who remembered an earlier bishop of Cappadocia, Saint Gregory the Wonder Worker. Basil received his initial education under the supervision of his father, and then he studied under the finest teachers in Caesarea of Cappadocia, and it was here that he made the acquaintance of Saint Gregory the theologian. Later, Basil transferred to a school at Constantinople, where he listened to eminent orators and philosophers. To complete his education, Saint Basil went to Athens, the center of classical enlightenment. After a 4 or 5 year stay at Athens, Basil mastered all the available disciplines. He studied everything thoroughly, more than others who are wont to study a single subject. He studied each science in its very totality as though he would study nothing else. philosopher, philologist, orator, jurist, naturalist, possessing profound knowledge in astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. He was a ship fully laden with learning to the extent permitted by human nature. Wow, that's a really nice compliment. At Athens, a close friendship developed between Basil the Great and Gregory the theologian, which continued throughout their life. In fact, they regarded themselves as one soul in two bodies. Later on, in his eulogy for Basil the Great, St. Gregory the theologian speaks with delight about this period. Various hopes guided us, and indeed, inevitably, in learning, two paths opened up before us, the one to our sacred temples and the teachers therein, the other towards preceptors of disciplines beyond. About the year 357, St. Basil returned to Caesarea, where for a while he devoted himself to rhetoric, but soon, refusing offers from Caesarea's citizens who wanted to entrust him with the education of their offspring, St. Basil entered upon the path of ascetic life. After the death of her husband, Basil's mother, her eldest daughter, Macrina, and several female servants withdrew to the family estate at Iris, and there began to lead an ascetic life. Basil was baptized by Dionysios, the bishop of Caesarea, and was taught a reader. He first read the Holy Scriptures to the people and then explained them. Later on, wishing to acquire a guide to the knowledge of truth, the saint undertook a journey into Egypt, Syria, and Palestine to meet the great Christian ascetics dwelling there. On returning to Cappadocia, he decided to do as they did. He distributed his wealth to the needy, then settled on the opposite side of the river, not far from his mother Amelia and sister Macrina, gathering around him monks living in a cenobitic life. By his letters, Basil drew his good friend Gregory the theologian to the monastery. Saints Basil and Gregory labored in strict abstinence in their dwelling place, which had no roof or fireplace, and the food was very humble. They themselves cleared away the stones, planted and watered the trees, and carried heavy loads. Their hands were constantly calloused from the hard work. For clothing, Basil only had a tunic and monastic mantle. He wore a hair shirt, but only at night, so that it would not be obvious. In their solitude, Saints Basil and Gregory occupied themselves in an intense study of Holy Scripture. They were guided by the writings of the fathers and commentators of the past, especially the writings of, especially the good writings of Origen. From all these works, they compiled an anthology called Philokalia. Yes. Also at this time, at the request of the monks, St. Basil wrote down a collection of rules for virtuous life. By his preaching and by his example, St. Basil assisted in the spiritual perfection of Christians in Cappadocia and Pontus, and many indeed turned to him. Monasteries were organized for men and for women, in which places Basil sought to combine the cenobitic or common lifestyle with that of a solitary hermit. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to... with the coming... I'm skipping this paragraph, sorry. With the coming to the power of Emperor Valens, who was a resolute adherent of Arianism, a time of troubles began for orthodoxy, the onset of a great struggle. St. Basil hastily returned to Caesarea at the request of Bishop Eusebius. In the words of Gregory the theologian, he was, for Bishop Eusebius, a good advisor, a righteous representative, an expounder of the word of God, a staff for the aged, a faithful support in internal matters, and an activist in external matters. Let's see. This is so St. Gregory the theologian, speaking about the activity of Basil the Great during this period, points to the caring for the destitute and the taking in of strangers, the supervision of virgins, written and unwritten monastic rules for monks, the arrangements of prayers, the liturgy, the felicitous arrangement of altars, and other things. Upon the death of Eusebius, the bishop of Caesarea, St. Basil was chosen to succeed him in the year 370. As bishop of Caesarea, St. Basil the Great was the newest of 50 bishops in 11 provinces. St. Athanasius the Great, with joy and with thanks to God, welcomed the appointment to Cappadocia of such a bishop as Basil, famed for his reverence, deep knowledge of Holy Scripture, great learning, and his efforts for the welfare of church peace and unity. So he was contemporary with St. Athanasius, and so he was also helping defend the church against Arianism.
He was right in the thick of it right in the
Yes.
very beginning, you know, like Origen and St. Gregory of Nyssa, St. Gregory Nazianzus, Athanasius, you know, come on.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
these guys are so monumental.
Yeah. And they were all just together right at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the emperor, Emperor Valens was an Arian, and so the Emperor Valens mercilessly sending into exile any bishop who displeased him, and having implanted Arianism into other Asia Minor provinces, suddenly appeared in Cappadocia for this same purpose. And by the way, Arianism is the belief that Jesus Christ was not fully God, and that he was a man who became God at some point, but was still like inferior to God the Father. So that was a major controversy at the time, a major heresy. The Emperor Valens, so he sent the prefect Modestus to St. Basil. He began to threaten the saint with the confiscation of his property, banishment, beatings, and even death. St. Basil said, "If you take away my possessions, you will not enrich yourself, nor will you make me a pauper. You have no need of my old worn-out clothing, nor of my few books, of which the entirety of my wealth is comprised. Exile means nothing to me, since I am bound to no particular place. This place in which I now dwell is not mine, and any place you send me shall be mine. Better to say, every place is God's. Where would I be neither a stranger and sojourner? Who can torture me? I am so weak that the very first blow would render me insensible. Death would be a kindness to me, for it will bring me all the sooner to God, for whom I live and labor, and to whom I hasten." The official was stunned by his answer. "No one has ever spoken so audaciously to me," he said. "Perhaps," the saint remarked, "that is because you've never spoken to a bishop before. In all else we are meek, the most humble of all. But when it concerns God, and people rise up against him, then we, counting everything else as naught, look to him alone. Then fire, sword, wild beasts, and iron rods that rend the body serve to fill us with joy rather than fear." Reporting to Valens that St. Basil was not to be intimidated, Modestus said, "Emperor, we stand defeated by a leader of the church." Basil the Great again showed firmness before the emperor and his retinue, and made such a strong impression on Valens that the emperor dared not give in to the Arians demanding Basil's exile. On the day of Theophany, amidst an innumerable multitude of the church, Valens entered the church and mixed in with the throng in order to give the appearance of being in unity with the church. When the singing of psalms began in the church, it was like thunder to his hearing. The emperor beheld a sea of people, and in the altar and all around was splendor. In front of all was Basil, who acknowledged neither by gesture nor by glance that anything else was going on in church. Everything was focused only on God and the altar table, and the clergy serving there in awe and reverence. St. Basil celebrated the church services almost every day. He was particularly concerned about the strict fulfilling of the canons of the church, and took care that only worthy individuals should enter into the clergy. He incessantly made the rounds of his own church, lest anywhere should be an infraction of church discipline, and setting aright any unseemliness. At Caesarea, St. Basil built 2 monasteries, a men's and a women's, with a church in honor of the 40 martyrs, whose relics were buried there. Following the example of the monk, the saint's clergy, even deacons and priests, lived in remarkable poverty, to toil and lead chaste and virtuous lives. For his clergy, St. Basil obtained an exemption from taxation. He used all his personal wealth and the income from his church for the benefit of the destitute. In every center of his diocese, he built a poorhouse, and at Caesarea, a home for wanderers and the homeless. Sickly since youth, the toil of teaching, his life of abstinence, and the concerns and sorrows of pastoral service took their toll on him. St. Basil died on January 1st, 379, at age 49. Shortly before his death, the saint blessed St. Gregory the theologian to accept the see of Constantinople. Upon the repose of St. Basil, the church immediately began to celebrate his memory. St. Amphilocchius, Bishop of Iconium, in his eulogy to St. Basil the Great, said, "It is neither without a reason nor by chance that Holy Basil has taken leave from the body and had repose from the world unto God on the day of the circumcision of Jesus, celebrated between the day of nativity and the day of the baptism of Christ. Therefore, this most blessed one, preaching and praising the nativity and baptism of Christ, extolling spiritual circumcision, himself forsaking the flesh, now ascends to Christ on the sacred day of remembrance of the circumcision of Christ. Therefore, let it also be established on this present day annually to honor the memory of Basil the Great festively and with solemnity. St. Basil is also called the revealer of heavenly mysteries, a renowned and bright star, and the glory and beauty of the church. His honorable head is in the great Lavra on Mount Athos. So there we go. We didn't shriek it too much.
That's great. Thank you. He also was responsible for a divine liturgy, right?
Yes.
The liturgy of St. Basil.
Yeah, he organized the liturgy, and it's a little longer than the one that's normally used, that's written by St. John Chrysostom, and it's the one that is used during Great Lent.
Yeah,
so
well,
it's a little longer and a little more.
What I heard was the original liturgy was like 5 hours long. St. Basil made it 3 hours, and then St. John Chrysostom made it 1.5 or something.
Yes, that's correct. And it's about more or less that's correct. And and then there is one more liturgy that gets read twice a year, and it's the liturgy of St. James.
Yeah, right.
So, which is from the time, I mean, he was the brother of Christ's.
Yeah,
he wrote it. So it was that one, and one of the times is right around Nativity. I can't remember exactly which day. I think it's the day after Nativity, but I can't remember for sure. I'd have to look it up.
What was that? Sorry,
I said one of the days that they celebrate the Divine Liturgy according to St. James is right around now, but I don't know exactly when. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
I'll look it up real quick. Now that you're asking.
Nagging.
Yeah, I could hear it in your eyes.
What?
Let's see.
Tell me more.
Oh, okay. So the Liturgy of St. James is commonly celebrated on the Feast of St. James, which is July 25th, and the first Sunday after Christmas.
Oh, there you go.
So
it's coming up for you.
We did celebrate it last week.
Oh, last week.
Yeah.
Right. First Sunday before Christmas.
First Sunday after Christmas.
First Sunday after. Oh, yeah, right.
Yep.
Okay. Christmas was Thursday. Yeah.
So we've got someone new.
Oh, that's welcome, Matthew.
Matthew. Welcome. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
We're glad you're here. So I have a book of homilies by St. Basil the Great, and that's one of those books where I can read it very slowly at a time, because he lays it out thick. He lays it out rich.
I haven't read St. Basil, but I've read St. Gregory of Nyssa.
Yeah.
And I
love St. Gregory of Nyssa.
And I did read some of the Philokalia that, one of the interesting things about the Philokalia that they put together, it's a Philokalia of Origen's writings. Him and the two brothers, Gregory and Basil, put it together. And because all Origen's writings were burned, this is one of the few things that gives,
that survived.
Gives people. I mean, there are many things that have survived, but Origen was like super prolific.
Yeah.
And so the Philokalia that they put together has stuff in it that is missing, like it's gone. And it's not like a whole treatise. It's just sayings and little things that they really love to contemplate on.
Yeah.
I always wanted to get my hands on a copy. Actually, I should just order one.
Yeah, I was just looking that up while you were talking about it.
Let's have a see.
Well, this one, I don't know if you'll want to buy this one. I will share it.
Probably really expensive. Why are these things so expensive?
Because it's cool. Yeah, $210. The Philokalia of Origin.
Oh, it's Oxford. That's why.
Yeah, that's why. With translation and annotations. So
is that who translated it?
Oh,
Ronald Hine. Okay. Must be able to get something cheaper, no?
Yeah, available as ebook. I wonder how much it is as an ebook. This title is available as an ebook. To purchase, visit your preferred ebook provider. Oh, so that would be Amazon probably. Yeah, I will look around for that. I could probably find you a copy. I have connections.
You have connections.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I won't give away my sources, but I've got a few places I can go hunting for that. So I will make a note of that.
Like I think that they were around at the same time as Origin too, right?
Shortly after, but yeah.
Because Origin was hired by lots of people with money at the time to teach their children.
Yeah.
And there's a really good chance that he was directly in contact. I mean, he had a little school and they got sent there.
Well, he died in 253.
Oh, okay. When were they born?
So he and let's see. St. Basil. Let me pull back up here. St. Basil the Great was born in 330. So
okay.
He was born 70 years after.
Yeah, okay.
Origin. So
someone was maybe I'm just thinking of St. Gregory Nazianzus because he was he was deemed the theologian later in his life.
Yeah.
That they were contemporary too. Yeah. Okay.
No, because St. Gregory was the same age as St. Basil. They were brothers.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're thinking of that instead of Origin.
Origin. Yeah, like I knew they were contemporary to some big theologian, you know.
Yep.
So must have been him.
Okay.
Been a while since I wrestled with those.
Yeah, that's okay. You've forgotten more than I'll ever know, so it's okay. Okay, we've come to the final saint of the evening, and this is a special one.
Yeah, and for anybody watching, we're going to drop a link later after this, and then you can join us too in the chat.
Yes,
jump in with us. And we don't talk about the saints. We can, but we don't.
If you'd like,
we don't continue we talk about whatever, and sometimes it gets really crazy.
So who is this? Who is this?
Oh,
it's Saint Seraphim, because your name day is January 2nd. So of course we have to talk about Saint Seraphim.
Yes. I didn't know.
Saint Seraphim of Sarov is January 2nd.
Oh, so we're going to my heart of hearts.
What's that?
My heart of hearts.
Yeah. That's a beautiful icon of him, by the way.
He is a beautiful man.
So this one is also a little long. So if you're not in for a longer journey of me stumbling over words, then feel free to sign out and come back later. But we're going to talk about Saint Seraphim of Sarov, who is Seraphima's patron saint. The same day, memory of our venerable and God-bearing father, Seraphim of Sarov. This great witness to the light of the Holy Spirit arose like a new star upon the Russian land on 19th of July, 1759, at the time when the spirit of enlightenment, so called, was permeating Europe and Russia, foreboding from afar the dark days of atheism and persecution. The son of devout merchants in the town of Kursk, he grew up in piety and with love for the church, and the favor of the Mother of God for him was shown in a miraculous healing. At the age of 17, he left the world with the blessing of his mother and entered the monastery of Sarov, where he quickly became a model of obedience and of the monastic virtues. In the service of the brethren, he gladly and cheerfully undertook the most laborious tasks. He fasted to overcome the upsurging of the flesh and kept his intellect fixed in the remembrance of God night and day by the Jesus prayer. After some time, he fell seriously ill, but despite the pain, he refused medical help and asked only for the Holy Communion, the sole remedy appropriate to those who have abandoned everything for God. When they brought him the holy viaticum, the all-holy Mother of God appeared to him amid a brilliant light, accompanied by the holy apostles Peter and John, the theologian, and she said to them, indicating the young novice, "He is one of our company." In a short time he was completely healed, and an infirmary was later built on the site of the apparition. After a novitiate of 8 years, he received the monastic tonsure with the name Seraphim, which means fiery, a name that yet more increased his zeal to imitate those bodiless servants of God who are aflame with love. On being ordained deacon, he would spend the whole night in prayer before serving the Divine Liturgy, and ever advancing in the holy virtues, he received in return numerous visions, ecstasies, and spiritual consolations from the Lord. Far from causing him any vainglory, these divine favors were, through the wise guidance of his elders, the occasion for him to go down into deeper humility and self-reproach, and to seek solitude all the more. Shortly after his ordination as priest and the death of his spiritual father, he received permission to withdraw to the solitude of the thick forest about 4 miles from the monastery. There, on some rising ground which he called the Holy Mountain, Athos, he built a little wooden hut surrounded by a small garden. He remained there through the week, spending the time in prayer, reading, and manual work well pleasing to God, and only on Sundays and feast days would he go to the monastery. Each one of his occupations was an opportunity for him to raise his thought to the things of God. He knew nothing worldly there, nothing of the flesh, and endured with patience harsh weather in winter and swarms of insects in summer, happy to share thus in the sufferings of the Lord for the purification of his soul. He always bore a large book of the Gospels on his back as the burden of Christ. Making his way to various locations in the forest, to which he had given the names of holy places, Bethlehem, Jordan, Tabor, Golgotha, he would read the corresponding passages from the Gospel. In this manner, he lived the life and passion of our Lord Jesus Christ intensely each day. Continuous meditation of Holy Scripture not only gave him knowledge of the truth, but brought him purity of soul and compunction of heart as well, so that besides daily recitation of the services and hours and 1,000 prostrations, he was able to pray continually, his intellect being united to his heart. At first, the monastery supplied him with bread. Later, he depended entirely on the produce of his garden, but very often he would go short himself by giving his allowance of food to the animals, especially to a huge bear, which would come up to his hut as tame as a cat. Seeing how well pleasing to God was his way of life, and how close to that of the holy angels, the devil, the age-old enemy of man, roused by jealousy, began his usual assaults against the athlete of Christ. Proud thoughts, clamor and commotion, terrifying apparitions, and so on. But the saint valiantly repulsed all of these assaults by prayer and the sign of the cross. As the mental fight became ever sharper, he decided to enter upon a contest worthy of the noble feats of the stylites of old. And for 1,000 days and nights, he stood or knelt on a rock, repeating without cease the prayer of the publican, "O God, be merciful to me, sinner that I am." In this way, he was delivered once and for all from the war of thoughts. But the devil could not bear being worsted, and set 3 robbers on him. Furious at finding the poor monk penniless, they beat him with the back of his axe and with heavy sticks, and left him half dead, covered in blood and with his bones broken. The meek seraphim made no attempt to defend himself, strongly built though he was, but accepted their blows with the thought that he was sharing in the sufferings of the Lord. In spite of the dreadful state he was in, he managed to drag himself to the monastery. After suffering for 5 months, he was miraculously healed by an apparition of the Mother of God, similar in every way to the one which had occurred when he was a novice. However, for the rest of his life, he had to stoop and walked with difficulty, leaning on a stick. This infirmity enabled him between 1807 and 1810 to climb another step of his appointed ladder to heaven by undertaking the contest of silence in solitude. For as soon as he recovered from his injuries, he went back to his desert and no longer capable of returning regularly to the monastery, he neither received visits nor spoke to anyone. Whenever he met someone in the forest, he would without a word prostrate himself before him and remain on the ground until he had gone away. He was thus able to keep his intellect fixed in God without interruption or distraction. Meanwhile, the abbot of the monastery died, and certain of the monks began to show a strong animosity against the holy anchorite, accusing him of separating himself from the communion of the church. Ordered in the end to return to the monastery, Seraphim did so without the least resistance, and entering upon a new stage of his ascetic life, he settled in a small cell as a recluse. In the entrance lobby, he placed his coffin, in which he liked to pray, and in his cell, which no one else ever entered, he had nothing but a bag of stones for a bed, a tree trunk to sit on, and an icon of the Virgin of Tenderness, which he called the joy of all joys, with a vigil lamp always burning before it. He lived in complete silence, increasing his austerities, reading and meditating on the whole of the New Testament every week, praying without ceasing and keeping watch in his heart, the angels and saints being the only witnesses of his ecstasies in which his intellect was carried up to the heavenly mansions. After living for 5 years as a recluse, he threw open his door and let those who wished to see him come in. But he did not break his silence even for the most distinguished visitors. Then in 1825, the Mother of God, having revealed to him that the time had come to forego the hesychast life, he began to benefit other men from the fruits of his experience. First of all, monks, whom he exhorted to observance of the monastic rules and to zeal in the work of God. Then a rapidly growing number of laymen. This little white-clad elder, bent almost double over his stick, who had passed in turn through the states of Cenobite, hesychast, stylite, and recluse, now, after 47 years of ascesis, turned towards men full of the grace and light of the Holy Spirit in order to fulfill the lofty ministry of spiritual fatherhood and to become, for the whole Russian people, a true apostle, witness, and preacher of the resurrection. His door remained open to all until nightfall. He used to greet his visitors cheerfully with, "My joy, Christ has risen," and he welcomed sinners who came to him in repentance, like the prodigal son to his father, with an altogether special joy. The most hard-hearted were converted by his supernatural meekness, and the proudest, cast down by his humility, wept like children. For nobility and peasantry alike, the cell of poor Seraphim was like the antechamber of heaven. A conversation with him or a simple blessing became a true encounter with God, capable of completely altering the direction of their lives. Through his gift of insight, he fathomed the secrets of hearts and revealed to penitents what they dared not confess. He replied to letters without needing to open them and knew the appropriate advice, consolation, encouragement, or rebuke to give to each person. Entirely given up to the will of God, he told them without forethought the first word revealed to him, and he never missed the mark. His charity, namely the love of God within him, consoled everyone, forgave everything, and won back everyone. He worked a large number of miraculous healings by anointing the sick with oil from the lamp that burnt in his cell, or by making them drink water from the spring, later called Seraphim's Well, not far from the monastery in his nearer desert, where he liked to spend the afternoons. Since he received so many requests for prayers for the living and the dead that it was impossible for him to commemorate all the names, he would light a candle for each one in his overheated cell, which was always illuminated by hundreds of flames, like as many living souls. God also granted him the charism of prophecy, and he foretold things to come for particular people and for the whole country, such as the Crimean War, the famine, and the dreadful ordeal which the church and people of Russia would undergo a century later. But his prophecies were wrapped in enigmatic words, which were not understood until after they were fulfilled. One day the man of God was asked by his ardent disciple, the rich landowner Motovilov, whom he had miraculously cured, "What is the aim of the Christian life?" And Father Seraphim replied, "It is the acquisition of the Holy Spirit that is obtained by the godly works recommended by the Church, and above all by prayer." Wanting to know more precisely what the grace of the Holy Spirit is, his disciple pressed him with questions. Suddenly the starets, which means elder, grasped him in his arms, looked fixedly at him, his face having become brighter than the midday sun, and said with authority, "Look at me, friend of God. Don't be afraid. I have asked the Lord with all my heart to make you worthy to see the descent of the Holy Spirit with your mortal eyes. And look, you have become like me, completely full of light. You too have been filled with the grace of the Holy Spirit. Otherwise, it would be impossible for you to see me in this light. What do you feel?" "A calm, unutterable peace. My heart is full of an inexpressible joy," Motovilov replied. "And what else?" "A warmth and a scent which I have never before experienced." "This scent is the sweet savor of the Holy Spirit," the saint answered. "And this warmth is not outside, for we are in the depth of winter, and the whole forest around us is covered in snow, but it is within us, in accordance with the word of the Lord, who has said, 'The kingdom of God is within you.'" This extraordinary colloquy went on for some time, and at its conclusion, Saint Seraphim asked his disciple to set it down in writing and to make it known to the whole world. Motovilov's manuscript was not discovered until the eve of the glorification of the saint in 1903. It has since become widely known. It is the ultimate message of light and of hope, which the prophet of Sarov bequeathed to Russia in view of the tribulations to come. He often said by way of admonition, "My joy, acquire the spirit of peace, and then the souls of thousands around you will be saved." The inner peace that cost him so much labor to acquire spread about him like joy and light, and hence Saint Seraphim has left to later generations a model of how to live rather than an extended teaching. While he was still only a deacon, the foundress of the convent of Divyevo, a few miles from Sarov, entrusted Father Seraphim with the spiritual direction of her recently formed community. In spite of economic difficulties, it grew rapidly. Throughout his life, Saint Seraphim showed a paternal concern for his daughters. He established them in a strictly Cenobitic life with the words, "At all times let your hands be at work and your lips at prayer." At the command of the Mother of God, he founded, with the most beloved of his daughters, a second convent known as the Mill, and to them he gave a rule of life centered on the Jesus prayer. But after the death of the starets, Satan provoked an envious, deceitful monk who did all he could to undermine the saint's reputation and his work. He succeeded in having the mill closed and inflicted many tribulations upon the nuns. One day, a little while before the end of his earthly sojourn, Saint Seraphim called one of the nuns from Divyevo and told her, as he covered her with his coat, "We are going to have a visit of the Mother of God." When the moment came, he helped her up, and there was a sound like a violent wind in a forest. Then the hymns of the church. The door opened of itself, and all at once the cell was flooded with light and with a very fragrant scent. The saint fell to his knees, and the Mother of God appeared, preceded by two angels, Saint John the Baptist and Saint John the Divine, and followed by 12 holy virgin martyrs. The nun fell to the ground, believing that she would lose her life, while Father Seraphim, standing up, conversed tenderly with the Queen of Heaven like a friend. The All-Holy Lady promised him that she would always take care of the sisters of Divyevo, and as she disappeared from sight, she said to him, "My beloved, you will soon be with us." When they found themselves alone again, the starets acknowledged to the nun that this was the 12th divine apparition that the Lord had granted him. Having reached the age of 70 and suffering cruelly from the effects of his injuries, but never slackening in his activities, Saint Seraphim spoke with joy and a radiant countenance more and more frequently of his approaching death. On the 1st of January, 1833, after communicating, he venerated all the icons in the church, lighting a candle before each one, and he blessed all the brethren, saying, "Work at your salvation, keep watch. Crowns are prepared for you." Then, having visited his tomb, he shut himself in his cell and gave back his soul to God that very night, on his knees, chanting the Easter hymns. All the people of the district gathered for his funeral. The man of God continued to visit and to assist his spiritual children through numerous apparitions and healings, and the devotion of the people, despite opposition, never ceased growing. the glorification of Saint Seraphim on 19th of July, 1903, in the presence of the imperial family, many bishops, and a crowd of several 100,000 people marked his triumph. It was the last manifestation of the unity of the Russian people and of the glory of the church before the great ordeal. His precious relics, which were then carried aloft in procession through the crowd, worked many miracles. They were confiscated by the Bolsheviks in 1926, and all trace of them was lost until 1991, when they were providentially discovered in the reserve collection of the Museum of Atheism in St. Petersburg. Having been duly authenticated, the precious relics, preceded by a triumphant procession, were solemnly translated to the monastery of Divyevo by way of the great cities of Russia. In its own way, this event inaugurated the revival of religious life in Russia. And we have the prayers of Saint Seraphim.
Yes, amen. Thanks, Jeremy. That's the first time I heard all that.
Oh, glory to God.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, good. Yeah, he lived a beautiful life. And, there's a lot more to his life. I've read longer versions of his life than that one.
Yeah,
it's very beautiful.
There's some about his childhood too, because he was interesting in that way.
Yeah.
But I just dropped a link in the chat if anybody wants to join us.
Talk about whatever you want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh. I was a lot of reading. I'm exhausted. Mm-hmm. No, I'm not exhausted. That was actually it was energizing, to be honest. It was good.
Yeah, that was really good. All those beautiful people.
Yeah, we had some heavy hitters tonight. I mean, all the saints are heavy hitters, right? That's why they're saints.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had some widely renowned, widely known saints tonight. So.
What are your plans for New Year's, Jeremy?
Well, every year we have a New Year's Eve party for the parish at our house.
Oh.
And we have a big fire pit. So we have a big fire going in the fire pit. And then I have 2 barrels that are for burning things. We have 1 barrel for burning holy things that are no longer usable, like if you have a prayer book that's falling apart, or if you spilled coffee on your scriptures or something like that.
Oh.
Or so you can burn, or like, too many palm leaves left over from Palm Sunday, or,
yeah.
So if you have holy stuff you want to burn, we've got 1 barrel for that. And we have another barrel for people who, it's usually catechumens or newly baptized people who lived, had interesting backgrounds before they came to orthodoxy and who need to get rid of some unholy things, and they don't necessarily want to throw them away because they don't want somebody else picking them up.
Yeah.
We dispose of those in the other fire.
Wow, that's amazing.
So we have holy fire. It's the 2 fire night. It's the dueling fires of the holy fire and the unholy fire. And it's actually interesting. I think I'm going to try to video some this year because the nature of the 2 fires is distinctly different.
Really?
Yes. The fire that comes from burning holy things is very different than the fire that comes from burning unholy things.
Oh, that's amazing. Cool. Yeah, that is very cool.
Definitely obvious which is which.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting. So that's been, we've had people, we've burned lots of occult stuff and spell books and
wow.
Books from former, past religious books, people who are in a different religion, and they just getting rid of that stuff. It's a way of kind of starting afresh. And we figure, our priest actually asked us to do it like years ago. And we've just kept the tradition alive. So
cool.
We usually have 2 or 3 priests who are kind of floating around talking to the catechumens, and
that's a great tradition.
Yeah, it's really fun. So all day tomorrow I'll just be I took the day off tomorrow so I can get ready for the party, and then we're throwing the good old fashioned Christian book burning party tomorrow. So,
Well, I mean, you're probably one of the only ones that are actually burning Christian books, like prayer books and old things, right? Holy things.
yeah, holy things, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so I burn like stuff that's left over from the altar and stuff like that as well.
Mhm,
Like I
mhm.
take care of that for the parish. So it's good. It's a good thing. It's nice.
So what does that entail? Like, does the priest bless that fire, or like how does that, or is it just
No,
those things
he
just separate?
well, he actually, like the first year he sprayed some holy water in there, and but it was more like we just burn everything. He did say we need to keep it separate, and then
Right.
we just bury it in a place where the ashes won't be disturbed.
Right.
So, and we do that with both, so
Yeah.
there's someone in the parish who has a big chunk of property out in the middle of nowhere, and we just go out there and dig a hole and dump. I mean, it's just ashes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
gonna make a fire. My husband and I.
Oh, nice. That sounds good.
Yeah.
So you can get a cold again, more cold, get your cold more. No.
Well, it's usually not the weather that causes colds, right?
True.
Some little virus floating around in the air.
Yeah.
But no, we have done this forever, ever since we moved to Canada. So
That's cool.
that's
For New Year's Eve. That's what you guys do.
1997. Yeah,
Nice.
because we I mean, I can't say we anymore. I used to help my husband getting wood, but now I don't. He makes a lot of huge piles, like massively huge, when he's getting wood, because he cleans up.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes those piles are like 3 or 4 years old. Sometimes they're like, we've got one pile that's probably 20 years old. We just can't burn it because the squirrels have moved in.
Right.
Because we kept forgetting to burn it.
Right.
And then one time, a couple of years ago, we went to sea, and it was a big, covered in pine cone mound,
Yeah.
Squirrels had made it their home. So we're like, well, that one's staying.
Yeah. Honestly, I have on the fascia on my roof, I have this one part that's kind of torn away a little bit, and the birds can get up in my soffit. And I looked at it one time, and they're not really causing any damage or anything. And my wife keeps wanting me to close it. And every time I go to, there's a bird have a nest, or they just left or whatever. And it's just like, it's just the same birds that are coming back every year. And then right now they're here for the winter. They're like wintering because it's like a warm winter. They didn't leave. And they're in there. And I'm just like, I just keep thinking of the parable about, the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed and planted in their garden, and it grows into a beautiful tree, and the birds of heaven come and roost in the tree. And I'm just like,
who was
I'm sorry, the birds of heaven are roosting in the eaves of my house. I'm not fixing it.
Exactly. There's an Irish saint who actually held his hand out because a bird nested in it. I can't remember. Saint Kevin.
Yeah, he was praying. He didn't know he had his arms out. He was praying like he was crucified on the cross, and he had his head down, and he was out there praying so long that a bird came, made a nest, laid an egg, and then the egg hatched.
Yeah.
While he was praying.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's a beautiful story. I love it.
That's the Saint Kevin story. Celtic saint.
Celtic saint. Yeah.
Oh man, you are coming down with something. You gotta load up on vitamin C.
Yeah, it's I've been drinking oregano oil all day, gargling.
That's not carnivore. Vitamin C, that's not carnivore.
And but it's it's one of those things that no matter what you do, it's coming your way. So yeah, it's okay. I'll just tough it out. That's speaking of the weather and everything in the woods, it got down to minus 21, 22 Celsius here for a couple days.
Yeah.
And during the day it was minus 18 Celsius.
Woo.
I don't know what that is in
so minus 21 or minus 22 is 7.5 below Fahrenheit.
Oh, okay. Doesn't sound that bad.
Minus 18 Celsius in Fahrenheit is That's 0 degrees Fahrenheit, basically.
Right. Okay. Anyway,
Chilly. Very cold.
well, here and in the sun, when it gets cold, the sun shines, right? Because it's clear.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought, oh, here's a good chance to test my hot tent, right? Because I got a wood stove in my tent.
Right.
So I've been going out there on the regular to clean all the snow off of it, and I keep it shoveled out. And it's really cool, Jeremy, because I've got these banks all around it now.
Nice.
Because I keep shoveling the snow away from it, right?
Right.
And
that's like a wind block, though, basically.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, I don't let them too close because it's at some point it's going to start melting.
True. Yeah.
But anyway, there's a good highway right behind my tent where the rabbits are going through.
Oh, nice.
And I got to see each time I'd go back, every time there would be fresh snow, I'd have to go back and clean off the roof, you know?
Sure.
And I got to see, like, first I saw the highway, then I saw the rabbits turning and looking at the tent on the highway.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah.
Then I got to see the rabbits' tracks all on the banks around the tent.
Right.
Right. And then after that, I went back another time in a fresh snowfall, and their tracks were right around the tent, like right next to the tent.
Yeah.
So it took them a while, right? But they're like,
right, checking it out. Yeah, curious.
On the banks.
Come on over here.
Anyway, I spent the day out there at -18.
Woo.
Got my fire ripping, made some coffee on the stove.
Nice.
I had cut a bunch of wood before winter. So I have a nice little wood pile there, you know, covered in a tarp. And I was able to take off all my ski pants and my jacket and my hat and my mitts and hopped into my bed because I have a bed there.
Yeah.
And one of the sheepskins that I felted, like I felted a fleece. I have it on the bed.
Nice.
Got right in there. Had a nice nap. I didn't bring a book. I didn't bring music. I didn't bring my knitting. I was just like, you know what? You're just going to do nothing. You're just going to soak it up.
Nice.
And it was great. And I was surprised. I thought I'd only be out there like to make a coffee, drink it, and go home.
Yeah.
And I went home when it was getting dark.
Wow.
So about 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, it was really
cool. That's good.
Really cool.
I don't know if it's really a New Year's resolution as much. It's just something that I've noticed that my phone is stealing more and more of my life. And I decided to claw some back. So I found an app that allows you to put some restrictions in place and reduce how much time and limit which times and like restrict things during this time and etc. Anyway, because my goal really is to drastically reduce my time staring at my phone and replace it with more reading, but then also more walking dog, no headphones, no book, not just walking, and then just sitting. Like more, I'm realizing that a lot of my things that I struggle with are the result of overstimulation, and so I'm really going to cut back on all of the habits I have that are just
I have to say, like, when I first got there, I was like, oh, damn it, I should have brought my book.
Yeah.
Or I should have brought my knit. And then I was like, no, that wasn't the point. Because the time before I went out to clean off the roof of the tent and it was snowing when I went. It was like, it snowed all night, then it snowed all day. So I had to go out in the morning, clean it off. Then I went back out in the evening. And I got the tent cleaned off and then I could hear the snow hitting it. It was snowing quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I got this old chair sitting under a tree right in front of it. So I sat down in the chair and I just found myself like unintentionally just listening to the snow hitting the tent. And I thought, I came home and I said to my husband, man, I got I got so like rejuvenated just sitting in that chair, listening to the snow hitting the tent. I wasn't even looking at it. I had my eyes closed.
Yeah.
And that's when I thought, well, next really cold day, just go see how long you can be in the tent and see how it stays warm. I don't think I'd want to spend the night because the stove doesn't burn long enough. I would wake up in the morning freezing. But anyway, the thing is when you have nothing to do, and you can't sit outside either because it's minus 18. Right. And the tent it's like a cell actually, because there's no windows. Right. If you unzip the windows, it's like fresh air. It's too cold. So, and I actually tried to tuck tape some plastic to my windows so that I could open them and see out. I gotta work on that. But anyway, but you come back. I come back from those things that I'm struggling with the whole time with the silence.
Right.
And finally I just kind of like ease into it, and it's like, and then I don't want to leave it. So it's this weird, you could follow this little,
Yeah.
And then when I get home, I feel so rested. It's incredible what falls away from you, Jeremy, in that silence.
That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah.
You don't even really know it. Like you don't really notice it until you come back.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wow, I feel so good. And
that reminds me, hold on, let's see. I'm finding my St. Peter and Paul Orthodox Church, Utah. We had a recent, our priest recently gave a homily, and the title of the homily is "When God is Silent," and he's actually talking about this exact thing, which is, and he refers to Father Roman Braga, and I'll share the link to the homily, and I'll put it in the description below after the show as well. But he was talking about Father Roman Braga suggesting that you spend an hour a day in silence. And he said, no, I know that's a lot for most of you. And he said, so I'm going to suggest try to do it at first, like 20 minutes a week, where if it's just a few minutes a day, basically and he said, when you sit, he's like, you can do it in front of your icon corner if possible. This is good. And he said, but, you can start by just saying a very slow Jesus prayer, but then try to go as long as you can, just being silent. And he said, that's how you invite the Holy Spirit into your life, is by cultivating silence, because he said, that's the language of heaven.
I have a lot of silence in my life because I don't have Wi-Fi. I don't have a cell phone. When I go anywhere out of a certain range of the house, it's quiet.
Right.
Right. So every morning I'm up doing chores and I say good morning. I talk to the sheep,
Yeah.
Morning.
Right.
But then I'm busy, either shoveling out their pen or raking up. Like I always clean all the hay that they drop on the ground with a rake every morning, and then cart my wheelbarrow to the pile, and and it's all done in silence. But it's never alone. All my, and it's like, first of all the sheep are there and they know the drill, so they all kind of move off to a certain spot and they watch me. And as soon as I rake the last bit up and throw it in the wheelbarrow, they start coming in because they know hay's next, right?
Right.
And the dogs are there. And sometimes there's some birds that come around. The ravens usually land in a tree because maybe I'm going to drop some grain on the ground, It's just, it's a beautiful communion that's that we, I think modernity, and I hate that word actually. It's what happens when you live in an urban setting where you don't have those companions. I'm not saying everybody should have sheep or anything, but if most people were stepping out into nature upon waking, it would be a whole different feeling. But you can still cultivate that in an urban setting, because you know what? It's all around you. There's a sparrow somewhere in the neighborhood. There's a dandelion growing out of the sidewalk. There's an incredible crystal icicle formation somewhere hanging off a roof, that you can contemplate. It's all there. It's all there. It's just kind of like hidden, maybe a little harder to find. And when I read last week, I read you that poem that I wrote about when I was cutting branches for boughs off the trees.
Yeah.
Looking for, because I was making floral arrangements for the house for Christmas. And when I'm talking to the trees, I'm not crazy, okay? I'm not.
Wow.
I'm not. But when you live in that kind of communion, everything is so alive. Like you really feel like you're being carried, and cared for. It's all around you,
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to say that, like,
it's a beautiful thing. And, I've been trying to deliberately just sit, so like yesterday and today at lunch, I just went out. We've got I work in a building with 2 floors. I'm on the 2nd floor, but there's a sliding glass door to a patio. And there's a couple of steel chairs, just folding chairs out there. And, I just go out there and just sit. I don't take my phone. I don't take, I eat first, and then I just go out there and sit in the chair. And you're right. It's relaxing. And at first your mind is all like, and then it just kind of, everything gets quieter and smoother and calmer. And it's like water in a storm, it's like the lake in a storm, and then the storm kind of passes, and then, the waves just die down, and you've got this nice.
I remember, Jeremy, when you went to a doctor's office, you either had to talk to the person across from you or read a magazine or talk to your children, whoever, or just stare into space.
Right.
Now everybody's like
that, and there's music overhead that's loud and annoying everywhere. When I go to my doctor's office, when they put you in not just in the waiting room waiting for the doctor, where they actually don't, they have a TV going, but then when you go in and they're like, you're waiting, like the nurse takes you back and she takes your numbers, and then you're sitting there waiting for the doctor. There's music, there's a speaker in the doctor's exam room.
You know what?
Crappy 80s music.
I remember going to the pediatrician with my daughter when she was, I don't know, she was old enough to hold a pencil, but not be really good at, like she wasn't 2 yet, because she turned 2 when I was in the Bible school, and it was before then. And I always kept like scraps of paper and a pen in my purse, and those were her activity when we were somewhere where she had to just wait for something. And she was laying on the floor and she was drawing things on this piece of paper, just very intently. This man looked at me and he goes, she is very good with that pen. She is very what's the word, geschickt. I'm thinking of it in German.
Extra.
And I'm like, oh, really? But that was always her form of entertainment when we were somewhere where she had to keep herself quiet and busy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I didn't have like the latest, greatest book and a whole pencil case. I had an old pen and a scrap piece of paper.
Right.
Because I was like a very poor single mom.
Yeah, but it's fine.
And look, you know what my daughter does? She's 42 now. She has a studio, and she paints. But she does these things where she invites people. You know, they come in groups of 6 or 8 at the most, and she does paint nights with them. And she has to pre-paint the picture, and then figure out how to teach them how to do it. And it's always simple enough that everyone goes home with a beautiful painting.
How fun! How fun!
My
I
daughter.
think I'm gonna do that. They do that at our local college, like our local university has oil painting class for noobs like me. That sounds really fun.
So she has for years been drawing just to contemplate and, to calm herself or whatever, or just, it's her way of being, like she'll go to a little cafe, sit outside. And so she sent me these. Okay. Now just remember, that's what she did before she was 2.
Right.
Okay. So that's one.
Oh, wow.
This is me, she said.
Huh. Well, I love it.
This one?
Oh, wow. I like that a lot.
She calls these just scribbles, right?
Yeah. That's great.
But, it's like, this is the kid. I like this one too.
Oh, yeah. I love that. The whale.
This one, look at this. And I mean, she just makes them up.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, then and she's got I love these birds. I really love these birds.
Those are great. Those are really fun.
I'm not, I just have to say, like, and I know this from my own experience, we are really who we are from a very young age. And we can really make somebody, what a gift from God to be able to raise a child and let them unfold, blossom, into that person who they are, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've had 2 other children who were not interested. Well, actually, my son loved drawing too. But, I couldn't keep them busy with a pen and a piece of paper.
Right.
And interestingly enough, what they loved as before they were 2, they still love.
Yeah.
No, seriously. Yeah. It's crazy. We're so who we are.
Yes.
We are not blank slates. Sorry.
No, yeah. Right. Yeah. No, I don't know. I would imagine that, what's his name? Why can't I think of his name? The guy who came up with that, not John Stuart Mill, not Rousseau. The other one.
I don't know. Oh, the blank slate guy?
Yeah.
I don't remember his name either.
It's clear to me he didn't have kids.
Yeah.
I mean, how can anyone who has kids, there's no way you could believe blank slate, right?
Especially if you have more than one. You might believe it if you have one kid. But if you have more than one kid, like, no, these are not blank slates.
Yeah, exactly.
He or she is not the same as the other one. I remember when I had my second kid, I thought it was going to be just like having the first kid. Yeah. And my second kid was just an absolute, like, the flip side of my daughter,
Yeah.
And it was hard. Like, I kept thinking, what went wrong here?
Right. Yeah. Why is this kid so bad at being a kid? My first kid was so good at being a kid.
So cute.
Yeah. No, it's so it was John Locke. That's what I was thinking of.
John Locke.
Locke. Yeah. But he was, he wasn't the first to suggest that, but he's the one that kind of married it to liberalism. But anyway, yeah, no, I just think it's crazy.
I mean, that's been refuted now for some time, I think.
Yeah.
Nobody believes that anymore.
Like I said, it's refuted by any parent of more than
Yeah.
one kid.
But people believed it.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I don't want to talk about it. It's too sad. I was going to talk about that twin thing that happened.
Oh, yeah, the twin study. Yeah, right. Well, okay. If you don't mind, I'd like to. I have a kind of a tangential. I'm gonna switch here, but I have a question for you because I have. Okay, so I'm going to ask you for some advice, if that's all right.
Ooh, on live television.
Yeah. Well, I think it would be helpful to anyone else who might be watching this. So I was not religious for most of my daughter's upbringing.
Yeah.
I've been Orthodox for 5 years now, and I was kind of getting into it for the year before that, right? So 6 years. So my daughter's her 19th birthday is coming up. So basically, from age 0 to 13, I was very anti for her. Like her age 0 to 12 or 0 to 13, right around puberty there.
Yeah.
I was very not just non-religious but anti-religious. Like I would mock religion and mock God and all of these things, right? I just thought it was absurd.
Right.
And that was the formation of my daughter. And I please pray for my daughter for my poor parenting. But we were talking last night, and she was just saying, I don't really, she's like, I can kind of understand God and the God or the concept of God, or, she's like, I have a really hard time with the person, like a personal relationship with God. I don't really know what that means.
Yeah.
But she's like, I genuinely like, because I told her like going to Divine Liturgy is worship, right? And I was like, and the whole thing is you're preparing to partake of the body and blood of Christ, and he becomes part of you and you become part of him when you do that. And she's like, well, aren't I already part of him? Like, I'm made in his image, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, yes, but it's like you're already human, but I said it's kind of like going to the gym to get in better shape, to get your body into like as good a shape as you can. And I said it's kind of like that, where it's like, yes, you have a body, but that doesn't mean that you're healthy. So you're trying to build towards something. And she was just kind of like, it didn't work. So I'm wondering if you have somebody who, like, it's not a logical thing. I just told her, basically, I said, what happened for me? I said, because obviously I didn't believe either, but I got to a point where I was desperate and I didn't have anywhere else to turn. And I was afraid of losing everything. And I told her this. I said, I was afraid of losing you, and I was afraid of losing your mom, because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And everything was falling apart. And I said, so, I told her I was listening to Jordan Peterson at the time, and he was just like, however you act is what you believe, and you just act like you believe it. And I said, so I just started doing that. And I just started saying, God, if you are there, please help me. Please help my family.
Yeah.
And I said, and he did. And that's my evidence. That's all the evidence I can offer you, is that you and I are still are close now.
Well, no.
I think that made an impression, but
yeah, I mean, that is evidence, but the evidence is in your transformation. That's the evidence.
Well, yes.
The reason your family is transformed, Jeremy, is because you are.
Well,
okay.
Well, we're still working on that, but yeah.
Well, no, I'm not saying you're perfect, but
yeah.
This is exactly the poem I wrote last week, and I'm just going to grab it because I think we should read it again, because this is exactly just as a quick aside, my husband was raised in an atheist home, you would have thought, I mean, my father-in-law was a salesman for a company in Switzerland to the Eastern Europe. So mostly the Czech Republic. But it was all behind the Iron Curtain at the time. Right? This is like 50s, 60s, 70s. And here's the weird thing. He bought icons out of, like, from art dealers. Like, he's a bit of a, a collector of sorts, right? He was always curious about things, and he liked old things. He has a beautiful icon collection that I hope I'll be worthy of when the day comes. But anyway, he hated God. And he didn't mince his words either. Yeah. And all those boys went to church. His wife wasn't allowed, so she didn't. He was a bit of a tyrant, very old school, patriarchal, tyrannic. And but all the boys went to church. They all professed to be Christians. I don't know how much of that stuck for them, but they were definitely very actively involved in youth groups and went on retreats, and like they were just all in.
Yeah.
And my husband is a Christian, and he didn't have a conversion experience because he didn't go to that kind of church. He was confirmed in the Swiss Reformed Church because they have confirmation there, because they have infant baptism. So they were all baptized as children, interestingly. But that's because it's culturally correct. Okay. Right. So all I'm saying is nobody's in control of these things, Jeremy.
Yeah.
You're not. Your daughter is not. I'm sorry, but nobody is in control of these things,
Yeah, that's true.
So this is God's, God woos us, right? To do. And I don't believe he's not wooing certain people. That's for sure.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
So
I told her, I said, it's just a matter of time because too many people are praying for you. I was like, you know how many saints are praying for you, Safi? And the people in our parish, right? I was just like, I'm sorry, there's just too many people praying for you. God will find a way into your heart.
Yeah, and those prayers are also, there are too many people who love you.
Yeah.
Okay? So, like this is why the Eucharist is so important, because it binds the body together in love. And so that's what your daughter will feel and feels, I'm sure. And that's how God woos us through love. Song of Songs, friend. Right. So I'm just going to read this again in case somebody's watching that never heard it the first time.
Sure.
I found myself. I wrote this December the 18th. I found myself asking you for permission. I was astounded at my words. They flowed as if unbidden from some deep well of knowledge that I was unaware of. I begged your forgiveness for lopping off your limb. I would expect the same if someone lopped off my limb. I thanked you. I remember the days when I never thought twice about such things. The days I cut down whole trees without asking permission, without asking forgiveness, without gratitude. When did the change come? I have no memory of it. I do not see the difference in time between then and now. Yet everything is different. Everything matters. I became without my knowledge. I was transformed in the twinkling of an eye. I am someone I never consented to be. I was dragged through the infidelity of an ungrateful life to this moment when I unwittingly encountered myself doing something I never knew how to do. I never knew why I should do it. I walk beside myself. I don't know my own companion. My companion who shows wisdom, who shows me who I really am. I am amazed and confused and amazed. I stand in awe, and you flow through as if a portal was opened, and you stepped through, and I can't remember where I was when it happened or what I was doing. I never opened it. You did. I am humbled. I am grateful. I am not even myself. I have become without my knowledge, and without my consent, you have transformed me. It's a mystical union, okay? Yeah. And, you know, the power of love is part of that. So, and if your daughter is being loved and is loved, and she is, and she is, right? She's loved and she's being loved, then the work is being done. You know?
Yeah.
That's the work. That's the work right there.
That is true. Yeah.
You know, I saw an icon. I'm going to see if I can pull it up here. I want to show you this icon.
Okay.
It was, I have to find it. Sorry. Maybe I'll send it to you, Jeremy.
Okay.
Because I threw it in the Discord. Now I got to find it. Here it is. Forward. Here we go. Okay. I think this has something to do with what we're talking about, but I don't know why. It should just pop up in your Discord there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Ah. Let me share it.
Yeah. It's an amazing icon. I really want one. I don't know if it's an actual canonical icon or not. Looks like one.
Wait, yeah, I don't know. Who is that? I'm not sure who that is.
Well, it is I think it is one of those rare images of
the Father
and the Son. On the one hand, he is being, eternally being of the eternal being, above every cause and word. And on the other hand, for our sake, he is also becoming, so that he who gives us our being might also give us our well-being. St. Gregory, the theologian.
Beautiful.
I mean, if you look at this icon, what does that, like, I'm curious, what does that emote to you? Like, what are you seeing there?
Well,
like, think about who those two are right now.
What's that?
And you have to think about who those two in the icon are.
Yeah, well, I also think of Abraham and Isaac, honestly.
Yeah.
Where you have the son who's submitting.
Yeah, but look at the father's face is so intent and curious.
Yes.
Okay.
Watching.
Isn't that how we look at our infant children?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And yet he is looking at
and he's making the blessing sign. He's saying, may it be blessed.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an amazing icon.
It is, yeah.
Because it is being looking into becoming with curiosity. And theologically, they're the same person.
Right.
Okay? Like, it's huge, that icon. And I mean, that's how you look at your daughter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jeremy?
Yes.
And it's also true that she is you and you are her, right?
Yes. Yeah. My wife and I were talking about that last night as well, where, you know, they sometimes tangle and don't understand each other. And it's so funny because my wife, I said, I think it's those times where part of me is coming through her. And she goes, yeah. She goes, my wife says, yeah, that's those times where I get upset are those times where I feel like I'm arguing with you.
Yeah.
You know, in the form of her. So it's definitely I pray that she can be healed from the mistakes I made and the ways that I dropped the ball as she was younger, when she was younger. And
Well, you talked about this when Tracy jumped on with us, you know, how your wife was saying she wouldn't change a thing, Jeremy, because it made her children who they are. Okay.
Right.
So I think there's some hubris. Think about it this way. You know, how dare you interfere in God's working in your daughter's life?
Right. Yeah. It just takes time.
Yeah. You know, like we aren't made by having everything. We're made by adversity. We're made by adversity.
True. That's very true.
So, and I know, like I have my own complexes about the way things I did to my children, you know?
Yeah.
And I have asked their forgiveness and God's forgiveness for those things.
Yeah.
And then I have to just say goodbye.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking to a friend of mine about the rich young ruler parable and how Jesus says, sell everything and follow me. And I, you know, just as I thought about the word young in that parable or that story, I thought about the word sell. I was like, that's really interesting. Sell everything you have and give it to the poor, and, you know? And I'm like, interesting. Why wouldn't you just give everything you have to the poor? And I thought, well, you know, when you sell something, let's say a vehicle, because it's the easiest example, you have to switch the registration. It's no longer your vehicle.
Right.
If you give something to somebody, there's a little bit of a loophole. You can always go back and say, you know, that thing that I gave you, I just wondered, I realized how important it is to me. Could I have that back? And they might, you know, there's wiggle room there. Okay.
There's also, you're also giving them a burden, right? Like if you gave somebody an animal, now they have to take care of the animal. If you sell the animal and just give them money, they can do whatever they need to do, right?
Yeah,
like
but I'm
giving
thinking
them something would be also a burden, right? It could
I'm
be.
thinking mostly of you, the proprietor of these things. So if you sell them, they are no longer yours.
Right.
You cannot go back. If I take all my woolen stuff and I go to the farmer's market and I sell it, I can't go back to those people and say, could I have that back?
Yeah, right.
But if I gave it to somebody, I might be able to say, could I have that back? Okay.
Yes.
So it's like, because here's the thing. I remember not too long ago, I had a thought, and it was a thought that I had struggled with most of my life, and I knew it was demonic. And it's the kind of thought that some people might want to roll around in a little bit because it's self-deprecating, right? People might think, oh, that's a good sign of humility or something to that effect.
Right.
You know, or it's not wrong because, hey, we're none of us perfect, right? But when that thought came into my head, it had been a long while since it came into my head. And it was basically, you know, you're such an idiot. You're so stupid. And I was immediately struck with it. Like it pierced me. It was like, it made me despair. It was like, oh no, I haven't changed a bit. Right. And then I went, wait a minute. No, that is a lie.
Yeah.
And it was like, seriously, it had wings and it just fluttered off.
Yeah.
As quickly as it had arrived.
Yeah.
And so I said to this friend who I was talking about, I said, sometimes we have to sell those things too. The things that are not true. God doesn't want us to, we can't have those back. Okay.
Right.
So and Jesus says to the rich young ruler, sell everything you have. That could be your opinion. That could be your judgment on yourself, your sin, your possessions, your favorite teddy bear, your comfort food, sell it all. But it's also metaphorical. When you sell it, I don't know if I'm getting my point across, so I'm just reiterating. No, you can't ask for it back.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
It's gone.
Yep.
And now, of course, we all have to be careful. Sometimes these things are whispered to us by the saints. And then we have to have the discernment to be able to know, oh, maybe I need to deal with this, or maybe I haven't dealt with this properly. Here's another example. When I was having all that problem with the demonic in my life, I was seeing a man, I was in an evangelical church, and he was part of this Victory in Christ ministries to help people with demonic oppression or whatever.
Yeah.
And anyway, and I had been in counsel with him for a long time, like many months. And he said to me one day, because things were only intensifying, as they do, which we read in the story of Saint Seraphim.
Yeah.
And he said, Shari, have you ever asked for forgiveness for this? And I was like, what? Oh, like immediately I was like, are you kidding me? You think I like this? What are you saying? And I got really angry, and I stood up and I walked out, slammed the door shut, and I was just like, this is ridiculous. And I went home and I had a dream. And I had this dream that there was a news flash. I was watching television, and it said that this Black Panther had escaped from the zoo, and we should all lock our doors and windows and don't go outside. And I was immediately taken, oh, my kids. And I went running to their bedrooms, and they each had their own room, three rooms. And in Europe, this was in Switzerland, in Europe, the windows open in and they don't lock. Like if you just do this with the handle goes up and down. It also has an up where you can tip it. But if you want to open it wide, if you don't push it down or up like that, it doesn't lock it. Okay. So it's just like leaving a door ajar, leaving the window ajar. So I run in their bedroom, and that's how I have their windows. I have them all just like that. So I push them all closed, but I don't put the handle down. And I'm like, there. And then I run upstairs, and then I'm gripped with fear. Oh my God. And I run back down, and the windows have eked open a little, and I push them all to the frame. And then I go back, and I spend the whole night in this dream doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I woke up from the dream, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not locking my windows. Is that what forgiveness is about? Is that what asking for forgiveness does? Oh my gosh. So I did. And here's the thing. All the demonic stuff in my life stopped immediately, Jeremy, and never returned.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that because I'm trying to think now what brought that on. But like this, you don't have to live in remember we were talking about the roller coaster ride and fear and regret?
You're right. Yeah.
Well, it's the same idea, right?
Yeah.
Like my dream, I'm not locking the windows, but I'm living in fear.
Right.
Total
Which is what
fear.
opens the windows.
Yeah, and it's because I'm not locking them.
Yeah.
You know? And so I literally got down on my knees after, woke up from that dream, got down on my knees, and I asked God to forgive me, because here's the thing. Sometimes those things are so familiar to us that they become comfortable to be there.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we need to ask forgiveness for, is that we are unwilling to move into an unknown, which is a world without that fear. Think about that. Like, it doesn't often think, or we don't think that we would want to, like, that's why I said to the man, are you kidding me? You think I like this? Well, somehow I did like it. It was familiar to me.
Right.
In a weird way.
Yeah.
And when it went away, it was like all the noise just. And then, like we talked about at the beginning, you're in the silence, Jeremy, a very unaccustomed one. Right? Now you got to get comfortable with your new digs.
Yeah.
So that's my advice.
Okay.
Sell everything you have and follow Christ.
That works on a lot of levels. So that's good. I like it.
Yeah. And that means, worrying about your daughter's salvation. That's not your job.
Right.
That's God's.
It's true. You're right.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't mean you don't love her.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you don't love her.
Right.
And your prayer is your love for her.
That's true.
It's what you're covering her with.
Yeah.
Your love. It's active.
Yeah.
It's not passive.
That reminds me of a video that I want to share because it fits perfectly. I just heard it a couple days ago. Hold on. Taking me a second to find it. Here, it was Father Stephen DeYoung and Father Andrew Stephen Damick were talking, and it's a short video. It's a clip from the Lord of the Spirits podcast. Let me see if I can search in here. Maybe I can find it this way. Yeah, this is it. This is very thematic and fits very well with our conversation. Let me share this here.
Someone who is damned, and you're among the resurrection of life. What does that mean? So, okay, that sounds very kind of abstruse, but here's another way of putting it. How happy would I be in the kingdom of God if my family are damned?
So part of the underlying issue here is still this idea that people who are damned, who face eternal condemnation, somehow like they didn't make the cut or something. These were all around good people, but just they didn't quite accrue enough merit or committed a mortal sin right before they got hit by a bus or were just reprobate through no fault of their own. If you had this important and godly relationship with a person, the idea would be that that would be one of the means that God would be using to save that person.
Like spouses being sanctified by each other, as St. Paul says.
Right. But there is built into a lot of the Puritan worldview we've absorbed from American Christianity, this idea that no, God created most people to end up in eternal torment. That's a whole skewed way of looking at this. God didn't create humanity to damn humanity. How about John 3:17? Christ didn't come to condemn the world, but that the world might be saved through him. This is basic Christianity stuff. God loves people, all people. He takes no delight in the death of a wicked man, but rather that he should turn and live. The most true, full expression of who our God is our Lord Jesus Christ praying and asking God to forgive the people who are murdering him. The people who end up in eternal condemnation, they've become demonic and subhuman. People don't go to hell accidentally.
I think it's important to underline what is salvation. It's not just whether you get into the kingdom or not. It's about becoming equal to the angels. And it's not like, well, you're not equal to the angels in every possible sense, so therefore you're in hell. There's a hierarchy in the kingdom of heaven. There are greater and lesser people in the kingdom of heaven. Jesus talks about some being least, some being greatest. St. Paul, it says those who are rescued as if by fire, or their skin of their teeth, or something like that.
But they're still saved.
Yeah, not frankly as much as some other people. You can be more or less.
They don't experience all the joys and all the things that other people do.
If you have a...
Oh, okay. Anyway, I thought that brings us back to the icon, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this, here's the thing. This, what they talk about there is a mystery.
Right.
This icon is a mystery.
Right.
You can't figure that out. Like, you can only look at it. It itself is eternal.
Yes, it's a heavenly pattern. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
yeah.
I often say to people, how much do you really believe this shit? Like, someone's like, I'm really worried about my kid. I'm really worried about my husband. I'm really worried about my parents. Do you love them? One time I was talking about, I was going to be a mom. I was a single mom, and I was so worried I was going to raise a child that was repulsive, because I'm a single parent.
Yeah.
So I'm doing half the job. Like, the kid's getting half the input. Okay.
Right.
And
not the good half. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I didn't think so either at the time. But anyway, I said to someone, I'm so worried that, she was born and she was an infant, and I was so worried she's going to be spoiled and, selfish. And then they said to me, do you like spoiled, rotten, and selfish children? I said, no. And then they said, well, she won't be then.
Right.
Like, this is the thing that we just look. We're caught up, like, in this river of being. If you want to pardon my Taoist interpretation, but
no, that's great.
And it's leading us somewhere. Like we said that with Tracy in the last that other episode. You have to get there. Yeah. But as I read in Adam Cara a while ago, it's not just a linear progression. It's it's many miles deep, right?
Yeah.
And, it's not even fair to your daughter to expect her to be somewhere where she hasn't even had the time to make that journey.
Right. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I grew up religious and then wasn't for a very long time. And it was only until I was 40 before I started, like 42, 43, before I started responding to the phone calls again, right? To the little little enticements, the little whispers.
Yeah. But maybe the silence wasn't just on your part.
Right.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
We think we have the power.
No, I don't
think we have the power.
Well, sometimes it's a mercy that we're not given.
Well, it's like when you're watching your teenager do really stupid shit. What are you going to say to them?
Right. They're not going to listen to you anyway. So.
No, so you might as well just keep your mouth zipped and wait for it to be over.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I don't think God is that much different, honestly. He's
Right.
a loving father.
Yeah, way more than we could ever be. No,
And-
it is definitely something I have to be careful of is falling into that despair. And it is you're right though, it's the demonic time machine. You know, if you're in the past, or if you're in the future, then you're in the demon time machine.
This is why, for me, conversion, that whole idea of having a hand in somebody's salvation. I mean, it's not like we shouldn't. We should, but it's not orthodox actually to think like that.
Right.
For me, like I remember Callistos Ware saying in a sermon that he gave, or a talk that he gave in a Methodist church. He was on a train one time in his cassock, and some man looked at him and said, "Are you saved?" And he said, "Well, I'm being saved."
Yeah, he said, "I have been saved, I'm being saved, and I hope to be saved."
Yeah, I don't remember that part. I just remember.
Yeah, it was all three. He said, I
Okay.
have been saved, I hope to I have been saved, I am being saved, and I hope to be saved."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in any case, I just like Father Stephen DeYoungson, this Puritan way of seeing the world, the heavenly kingdom. It's like, are you on my team or not?
Right.
There's a line here. Did you cross it?
Right.
You haven't crossed it yet? Here, let me give you the prescription. This is how you do it. When you say these things, like, how different is that from magic?
It's also Islam. That's exactly what they do in
Well,
Islam.
it's magic.
Yeah.
It's an incantation.
Right.
It's a ritual. It's like this is God. God does these things, and he says, God says, Jesus says, don't judge. God is the judge.
Right.
Like I can tell you from my own personal experience, because of this kind of thinking, people had to get me saved. I was pregnant. I was at home. I was like out to here. Everybody was trying to save me. I was reading my Bible, but I didn't tell anyone.
Yeah.
And people would say things to me like, "Is it okay if I do my devotions out loud?" when I'm in the room? Because they were trying to save me. And I said, no, I would rather you read it to yourself.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to share anything with anyone because all I ever got told was how wrong I was.
Oh my God, you just quoted my daughter.
Well, there you go. So I didn't say anything to anybody about what was happening. I started in Matthew, and I've said this many times in the corner. By the time I got to the end of John, I was in love with Christ. Like literally, I was in awe of him. I was just like, who is this person?
Yeah.
And I wasn't reading it for my salvation. I was reading it because I was trying to garner some good parenting advice because I was going to have a baby.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that my childhood wasn't all that rosy. And so I felt like I don't want to make the same mistakes. I don't want whatever happened to me to happen to my kid. I got to break this pattern. Like that's all I could think of.
Yes.
So I went like rogue. I read the Bible. And meanwhile, everybody's trying to get me saved. And I am just like, I am in this like intimate relationship with God, with Christ.
Right.
I'm talking to him about everything. I'm getting like, I have peace. But the one thing I couldn't do was tell anyone because it was so perfect and so beautiful and so rich that I thought if I say anything, they're gonna blow it up like a beaver dam in a creek.
Yeah, it will ruin it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
that makes total sense.
Yeah. The only reason that we want to get our hands in there and fix things is because we don't trust God.
That's fair too. Yeah.
Harsh words, but I gotta say.
No, I'm grateful you say that. You're right, and I'm glad that we have a friendship where you can be honest with me and tell me the things I need to hear. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think for men, it's even more difficult because that's their job. Their job is to get their hands dirty, to fix things, to make things work,
Yeah.
to protect things, right?
Yeah.
And it's really hard to be hands off for men. They feel like they need to give instruction, they need to correct, they need to, Yeah. It's really hard to just stand back and let something become. So,
True. Yeah.
And here's the thing, Jeremy. There's a place for that too.
Right.
Okay? It's not like you can't be who you are. You can't be a man. You can't be a father. You can't say those things. Of course you can. That's your job. It's like Peterson talking about rough and tumble play.
Yeah.
The mother's always going, "Oh no, whoa, whoa," and the father's like, throwing it in the air.
Yeah.
And maybe the kid is scared, and maybe the mom is scared, and but it's really important that happens.
Yes.
Okay, so it's the Tao, Jeremy. It's the Tao. You gotta just lean in and go. Go with the flow.
Well, it goes back to the it's funny you bring up you've mentioned the Tao like 3 times. They're one of my favorite parts of the Tao Te Ching. So I have a Taoist tattoo of my arm. This is Wu Wei, right? This is action, no action, right? So this is living without artifice.
Right.
Right? You're not trying to make anything happen. So I needed to be reminded of that in this conversation. That's the advice that I need to hear. And it's funny because you brought it up, but my favorite passage in the Tao Te Ching is running a country is like cooking a small fish.
Yeah, you told me about this. This is a good one.
And so if I've shared it with you, and if you haven't heard this, audience people, what that means is if you're cooking a small fish, you can't use a lot of heat, right? It only requires a small amount of heat, small pan, and you can't be in there fiddling with it the whole time. You can't be checking it, because if you're checking it, it's going to tear it all apart, especially like if you're cooking in a stainless dish, right? So you just have to let it cook until it frees itself, and then it's time to flip it. And you just flip it one time, and that's it. And that is how you raise a daughter, especially.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've learned. After 3 daughters, it took me 3 daughters to learn, but raising a daughter is like cooking a small fish. It's a little bit just at the right time, and the rest of the time, wait.
I think
sit on your hands.
I think that's what God's doing with all of us.
Yeah, go find something else to do, right? Go rake the yard or something.
Yeah.
Go change the oil.
Yeah. Find something to get your mind off the worry. I mean, and of course, fathers and daughters.
Well, brother, this is part of having ADHD. I'm sorry. So, yeah, because once you've had a tattoo, I've had this tattoo for 20 years. So
you forget about it.
Forget about it. Yeah.
Next time, Jeremy, I'll keep it short and I'll just say, tattoo, Jeremy.
Check your tattoo. Yeah.
Check your tattoo.
Away. Action, no action. Actually, let me look that up because it's actually really relevant. The meaning of Wu Wei. So let me share this real quick.
The whole Tao Te Ching is really relevant. Actually.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, that was the first Orthodox book I ever read, was called The Tao of Christ, right?
Oh,
and it was written by an Orthodox.
Yeah, I haven't read that one.
The Eternal Tao, or the Tao of the Eternal Tao.
Tao.
Yeah, Christ the Eternal Tao. That's what it was. Yes.
Yeah.
And so anyway, Wu Wei. is a concept from ancient Chinese philosophy that literally means not acting or non-doing, variously interpreted and translated as actionless, inaction, or effortless action. In Taoism, it denotes the nature of Tao, meaning that while Tao, the way, the path, or flow of nature, is the source of all existence and manifestation of all phenomena, its intrinsic formless essence is that it acts or moves in a silent, invisible, ineffable, often unnoticed matter that may even seem motionless and effortless.
Amen.
Yeah, this is what you were talking about in your poem too, right?
Yes, exactly.
Accordingly, Taoists aspire to live their lives in alignment with such a harmonious state of free-flowing and unforced activity. In a political context, it also refers to an ideal form or principle of spontaneous and non-aggressive governance.
Yeah.
So, the author of Christ the Eternal Tao is yeah, that's it. So the author of Christ the Eternal Tao is Hieromonk Damascene. He's the abbot of the Tina Monastery, which is where Father Seraphim Rose is in repose, right? And he was friends with Father Seraphim Rose.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I went on pilgrimage there, and I got to meet Hieromonk Damascene, and I got to ask him a question because we were having a Q&A with him, right? Like our little pilgrimage group. And I showed him my tattoo, and he instantly recognized it.
Yeah.
And I said, this is obviously really meaningful to me. It was meaningful to me when I was a Taoist.
Yeah.
And I consider myself still partially a Taoist. And I said, how can I understand Wu Wei in an Orthodox context? And he said, well, you have to be careful because not everything translates. But Wu Wei definitely translates. And he said, it means living without artifice.
Beautiful.
Yeah. He said, that's the way I would think of it. And so I'm going to look that up real quick and share that.
Cool.
The old definition of it. Like so let's share that. Stop. Share. Artifice.
Yeah.
Artifice. This is from the 1913 Webster's edition, which is the last good one. A handicraft, a trade, art of making, workmanship, skillfully contrived work, right? Artful or skillful contrivance, crafty device, an artful, ingenious, or elaborate trick.
Right.
So contrivance. Let's look that up real quick. The act or faculty of contriving, inventing, devising, or planning. The thing contrived, invented, or planned. Disposition of parts or causes by design. A scheme, a plan, an artifice, or an arrangement, right? So live without that.
Yeah.
No plans. And don't try to control things and configure things and, line things up and set things up. And
well, that makes you the judge. God is the judge.
Right. Well said.
And you don't know anything. Right.
Yeah. I first heard of it through Akira the Don's Alan Watts wife. Akira the Don did the version of he did that cut of Jonathan Pageau's of course Santa Claus Exists. And I listened to that song like 50 times. It's so because that's when I was going crazy. I felt like I was going crazy because my materialism was falling apart. And cool. It was that video and that song that really just broke my materialism.
So great.
Yeah. But also Bruce Lee as water. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, now I want to hear that song. I haven't heard it for a long time. Let's see if I can find it.
Akira the Don?
Yeah. Especially the one about, I wonder if he's still doing stuff. I haven't checked out his stuff for a long time. Of course, Santa Claus. Oops.
Will that get taken down if you play it?
I don't know. Well, I won't play the whole thing. I'll play a little bit.
2 seconds.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, this was definitely influential in me.
Oh, Matthew says, "Play it. He is open."
Okay, cool.
I don't know what that means, but I guess it's okay.
All right, so here we go.
The arguments here coming from the new type of atheist. When I was a child, I believed in Santa Claus. When I was a child, I believed in the tooth fairy. But then one day I grew up and I realized that Santa Claus doesn't exist. I realized that the tooth fairy doesn't exist. And in the same manner, one day I grew up and I realized that God doesn't exist. I've always found that line of argumentation rather funny because to me it seems
Down a little bit.
completely absurd to say Santa Claus doesn't exist because obviously Santa Claus exists. There are Santa Clauses everywhere at Christmas. There are guys who dress up as Santa Claus. There are Santa Claus decoration, ornaments. We have stories. We have songs. We have all these things which celebrate Santa Claus. It is patently absurd to say that Santa Claus does not exist. Obviously, Santa Claus exists.
Have you seen this, Harry?
Obviously, Santa Claus.
I haven't seen it. No.
Obviously, Santa Claus exists. Obviously, Santa Claus exists. There are certain things that don't exist. For example, a square circle or dry water. Now, those things are impossible. They do not exist. But Santa Claus definitely exists. The question we need to ask is, in what manner does Santa Claus exist? And I think that asking oneself that question of how it is that Santa Claus exists can maybe help certain people understand the manner in which we say that God exists. There are things that exist that are not at the level of my coffee cup. There are things which exist at different levels of being. Obviously, Santa Claus exists. And you can say that about concepts. Love exists, but you can't. Obviously, Santa Claus exists. You can't put it in a bottle. You can't put it in a box, but it still exists. Obviously, Santa Claus exists in a much more immediate manner than something like love. Obviously, Santa Claus exists. We know what Santa Claus looks like, what his purpose is. Now, the thing is that what people tend to struggle with is to understand that beings are not obvious. It's not that obvious how to contain a being. So you, for example, you have parts. You have hands and fingers, eyes, you have hair, you have all these different parts. And there is something, your being, your personhood, which holds all those things together. Now, Santa Claus is the same thing, but his body is just not as contained as your body. It is actually a lot bigger than your body. Parts of Santa Claus are the images of Santa Claus that we see in movies, that we see in stories, just like your picture, which appears online. Obviously, Santa Claus exists. Your picture that's in your telephone or in some family album, obviously Santa Claus exists, is an extension of you. Obviously, Santa Claus exists. When people see the picture, they recognize you and they come into contact with Santa Claus exists. So too, Santa Claus has parts. When a guy dresses up as Santa Claus in your mall, he is manifesting Santa Claus. He is a part of Santa Claus to the extent that he's participating in the being of Santa Claus at that moment. If a child goes to the mall, they sit on Santa Claus's lap, and then they speak to Santa Claus. What would you like for Christmas? The child will answer what they want for Christmas. And Santa Claus will find some story about how, you're going to try to get that child his gifts for Christmas. So the child is speaking to Santa Claus. And that's really important to understand. The child is not speaking to Joe under the costume who put on the fake beard. She isn't speaking to him. Obviously, Santa Claus exists. She's speaking to Santa Claus. Obviously, Santa Claus exists. And it also isn't Joe that is answering. Obviously, Santa Claus exists. It's Santa Claus that is answering. Obviously, Santa Claus exists. It is obvious that Santa Claus exists. If Joe starts to tell the child something else, the child will no longer recognize Santa Claus. Joe will cease to be a body part of Santa Claus. Now, you can write a letter to Santa Claus, put it in the mail, send it to Santa Claus, and you know what? Santa Claus is going to answer. And it isn't Martha sitting in the post office, typing out the letter. She's not the one who's actually answering. She is manifesting Santa Claus. The same thing you're doing to Santa Claus, I can do to you. When you answer my question, I can say, well, it's not you that is answering my question, right? It's your mouth that's answering my question. But is that true? Is it your mouth that's answering the question? No. Your mouth is the tool by which you are answering the question. Obviously, Santa Claus exists. The disguised Santa Clauses are the tool by which, obviously, Santa Claus exists. Santa Claus manifests himself in the world. Obviously, Santa Claus exists. Santa Claus is a being that's pretty coherent. Obviously, Santa Claus has a personality. Exists. He has a way of speaking. You can engage with Santa Claus, and Santa Claus will answer. This is not just imaginary, because you are not that contained as you think. You as a person, you can be possessed by all these different ideas. You can be influenced by all these external influences. And even in your mind, you are not as centered as you think. You have all these different kind of crazy personalities that can pull you in different directions. So why do you think that you as a person exists? Right? There is something. There is a total way in which those elements are pulled together into a consistent being. If it wasn't so, we'd say you're schizophrenic, or we'd say you're crazy. If you're not crazy, there's something pulling those elements together. So that when I ask you something, you answer me, I recognize you in that answer. Obviously, Santa Claus exists. Obviously, Santa Claus exists.
There we go.
Obviously, Santa Claus exists.
Ha. So that
Little throwback for you there, Jeremy.
what's that?
Little throwback.
Yeah. Well, and it's the right time of year for that, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
we're still in the 12 days of Christmas.
Yep.
Today's the 5th day of Christmas. 5 golden rings. So no, that video really played a huge role in me waking up to a large, like, how reality actually works, instead of my kind of materialist, empiricist kind of point of view that I had up to that point, right?
Well, I mean, Jonathan wasn't just talking to you. He was talking to a lot of people. Like, so was Jordan Peterson at the time.
Yeah.
That it's kind of amazing that people had to be re-educated as to how the invisible is real.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, that's essentially what it was, right? So they literally only believed what they could see with their eyes.
Right.
And touch with their hands. Yeah, so it's interesting how what the Enlightenment did, like that's just like a total, like, it just wiped away, like, none of the ancients thought like that.
Right.
None of them ever. Not even the old blind woman begging at the corner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, nobody.
The atomists maybe, but they were made fun of by everyone else. Like,
Yeah. So anyway,
yeah, no, it's yeah, you're right. It was well, and honestly, the other thing that happened was I ran into like I accidentally discovered chaos theory at work,
oh yeah.
not knowing what I was looking at,
Excuse me.
and then learning more about chaos theory, learning that it's not predictable and it's not reducible, right? So, like, my whole scientific worldview was based on reducibility, right? So you can understand a system by reducing it to the smallest component parts, and then that just adds up, right? That doesn't work in a chaotic system. You can't derive any information about the overall system from the smaller parts, because the smaller parts like exist below the chaotic system, right? So the example I use is, that sounds like really vague and abstract. So the way I discovered it was I was working in a fab shop, and I was a project manager, so we were making pipe. We were making little configurations of pipe, and I would have two questions a customer would ask me every time: when is this one going to ship, this particular thing, and how many are going to ship next week? And I went to my mentor, the guy who was training me, and I said, how do I answer these questions? And he goes, you don't know, and you don't know. And I go, well, I have to be able to know. And he goes, really? You don't know until it ships?
Yeah.
You don't know? And I was like, I was not satisfied with that, my science brain. So I spent the next 3 years trying to answer those questions. And then I came back to him. That's where I discovered chaos theory, because I realized that pipe fabrication is a chaotic system. And the reason why is because the basic component system of a fabrication shop is a person, right? It's not a machine. So a machine is predictable. And a machine, you know, down to the 10th of a second how long it's going to take to do something.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it's going to take you to do something, even if you've done it before, because every day is different, right? And you have, you know, maybe you didn't have breakfast this morning, or maybe you had an argument with your husband last night.
Yeah.
You're going to come in, right? And I don't know if you're going to pick it up or the guy next to you is going to pick it up. If you pick it up, it only takes 2 hours. If the guy next to you picks it up, it's going to take 8 hours.
Right.
I don't know who's going to pick it up. Well, because of that, because the basis of the system is a person and the person's output is variable, it doesn't matter if I look at one person or I look at 10 people or I look at 100 people, it's going to look the same. It's going to have high days and low days, and it's just going to be chaotic.
And not only that, I mean, I love chaos theory because I learned about it. I mean, technically learned about it from Matthias Desmet's book, The Psychology of Totalitarianism, which if nobody's read, please do. It's way bigger than just what the title says.
This is the one I was thinking of. This one, The Origins of Totalitarianism.
No, but
not this one.
He refers to her work all the time. Okay.
Yeah, but I do have that book. I just don't have it with me. But yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so he does a whole section on chaos theory. Like, he's very big into the physicists, actually. And the beautiful thing about chaos theory is it appears random,
right?
But underneath of it all is a beautiful pattern.
Yes,
and that's nature. Okay.
Right.
I was watching Michael Martin. I guess he wrote this in his Substack, but I was watching his video today on socialism and sophiology. And he said something about envy, bitterness, or no, resentment and envy resulting from socialist philosophy and actually the putting it into action. But then
I think it's the other way. Like, envy is what creates Marxism. Like, that's the part of Marxism.
Right. He said it's the mycelium of
nice
socialism.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just like, isn't this incredible? What a great, he goes, I'm really proud of this line.
Yeah. No, that's true. I totally agree with that. It is the it is the breeding ground, or the, the soil that Marxism grows out of, is envy.
Yeah, well, the mycelium are actually they transport communication, like
Yeah,
and
signals.
nutrients, right?
Right.
So yeah, that
No,
was really
that's
good.
accurate.
Yeah.
Well, that leads me to the movie we watched last night, which was what was it?
Oh,
All I
sorry.
know is
This is
all I know is that I don't know nothing. Operation Ivy or Socrates too. Yeah,
yeah.
didn't Michael Jackson say that? Anyway,
Oh well, that's a whole different conversation.
Abraham Lincoln. Yeah. No, so we watched the new Avatar movie last night. We went to the
Oh, is there a
theater.
new one?
Yeah, there's a third one now. It's called Fire and Ash.
Mm.
Genuinely, that's one of the most demonic films I've ever seen in my life.
Ooh.
I know, hot take, right? But here we go.
Well,
so the humans are generally the enemy, and they're hapless.
yeah, well,
The
that's
only humans who are not the enemy, there's one guy who like helped the locals, and then there are these humans that died, but they had saved their consciousness before they died, and they reincarnated them in the bodies of the Na'vi. That happened in Avatar 2, in the last one.
yeah.
So that's why it's called Avatar, because their bodies are basically like vehicles for your true self, right?
Yeah. You're uploading your consciousness to.
Yeah, so they upload their consciousness back into these Na'vi bodies because they want to infiltrate to try to destroy from the inside, basically. That was the plan in Avatar 2.
Okay.
And in Avatar 3, there's one guy who assimilated into the tribe and like married into it and has kids with the locals, right? And then one guy who's like, he also has the body of the alien, the Na'vi, but he's still loyal to, his former
people,
part of being, America, right? Human, right? And so the humans are the enemy. So there's problem number one in my mind.
Yeah.
Right. When humans are the enemy, this is a bad thing, right?
Well, they were in the first one.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And even in this one, he tries to say, well, we're moving beyond that. No, you're really not. Because the ones who are human are not human. They've been reincarnated, essentially.
They're the scourge of the earth.
Right. Okay. So 2, it's totally like noble savage enlightenment bullshit. Right.
Yep.
So I won't even go down that road. But 3, what this is what I found most disturbing. So there was this new tribe that shows up of the Na'vi, and they're like, I mean, the title of it's Fire and Ash. And so if you haven't seen this, maybe I'll be spoiling, but probably not. I'm not, there's not much to spoil. Okay. It's not a great story. Anyway, It's not that deep. It's like, I'm sure you can predict what's going to happen.
You know what? I haven't seen the second one because
well,
if I gave a little extra time to thinking about the first one, I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah. So anyway, so this new tribe shows up, and they, he basically modeled them after a tribe in Papua New Guinea. So there's all kinds of voodoo stuff going on there, right? Yeah. So you have the dancing and the ritual dancing and ritual use of psychedelics and, cutting themselves and, cannibalism, and like they didn't show cannibalism, but they implied it several times. Right? So you have this tribe that shows up, and everyone like clearly just goes, "Oh, those are the bad guys," right? Like that's crazy. Like the audience, right? Like that's what they're trying to do. But here's the danger: is that the good guys, the other Na'vi, the other tribes that we've already been familiar with, they have the whole. Well, okay, so the goddess of their world is a goddess. And in this movie, they find out that the one daughter, okay, spoiler alert, if you're going to see this, I'm going to ruin the movie. I'm not going to ruin the movie. It's not that big of a deal.
Mute him.
Yeah, mute me or just go away. I'm warning you. If you want to be enthralled by James Cameron's terrible dialogue, now's the time to leave.
Yeah.
So one of the daughters of the alien find out she doesn't actually have a father. Her mother just became pregnant. So this girl is basically the product of immaculate conception.
Oh God!
But it's immaculate conception. Yeah. Anyway, of a goddess, right? So it's immaculate conception of a goddess. So already we're in demon territory here. But this is the thing, right? Like they have this, the thing where they link to the tree and they're
Yeah.
connected to the larger, something larger than yourself, and it's the goddess that they keep referring to, and her name sounds a lot like Athena, but it's not Athena, but basically is Athena. And it was just like,
I have no imagination.
yeah, it was like, what I'm trying to say is they give an obvious portrayal of what everybody recognizes as evil in this voodoo kind of behavior, and contrast it with something that is still just as demonic, but appears to be good, because it's contrasted with clear evil, but it's just a different form of evil,
right?
Where it's the Immaculate Conception of a goddess who is going to pray to her and basically give herself up, willing to die. She goes down to pray and thinks she's going to die, but she does it to save her planet. And, the humans all get wiped out. So it's like, it really, and there's a scene too with the psychedelics where I didn't want to look at the screen, because I've had experiences with psychedelics, and it was very re-stimulating of that. It was like it's calling it up, you know what I mean? It's pulling that forward, and I was like, nope, I am not going there. And she's holding up her hand, and she's like, she's got this guy on psychedelics, and so you're seeing her as if you were on psychedelics, big on the screen, and I've got 3D glasses on, and she's holding up her hand with sigil magic, doing spells on you, and I'm just like, this is wild, dude. This is so, I mean, my daughter was excited, she wanted to see it, and so we're going, to hang out with my daughter and see the movie. But the whole time I'm just like, this movie is it's one of the most demonic things I've ever seen.
It also,
because it's the whole ecumenism and like perennialism, and we'll all just go
it's also transhumanist, because
it is,
like you said, the whole premise of uploading your consciousness into this avatar that will somehow meld with nature, right? And everything just goes back to the wild,
right?
It's this utopian vision of Eden, and utopia is no place.
Right.
It means no place. It doesn't exist.
Right. It can't.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's, I liked the first Avatar when it came out, but I have been watching the political climate here in my country, which is quite a nightmare, actually, if you live here. If you don't live here, it's just Canada. If you live here, you know that you're being experimented on, okay? And I have to be really careful about what I say here, but there is an element of the original Avatar film that is actually happening in my country.
Wow.
Where certain groups of people are sending other groups of people out to stop mining or stop logging or stop, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's happening here. Okay. Right. And now they're doing land grabs. Now they're taking private property and calling it their own and getting Supreme Court ruling in their favor. And now people are
same here with squatter rights. Yeah. Same thing happens here. Yeah.
Well, you know what I just heard recently? Some American tribe, okay, on the American side of the border, right on the border of Canada, in the Vancouver area, decided to claim Vancouver as their traditional territory because, hey, the Canadians are giving up all their property rights.
Right.
The city of Kamloops, which is where the parish that I got baptized in is, has been claimed by the Shuswap people.
Wow.
The whole city.
That's crazy.
This is like the first movie of Avatar.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And it's weaponized compassion.
Right.
Is what it is. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. And everybody's been primed like a nice little pump, you know,
Right.
to cry tears of sorrow for all this, all the sin that they've committed. Even
By seeing some voodoo lady holding up sigil magic in their face.
Even if they didn't commit it.
Yeah.
Right. And then also, anyway, don't get me started.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's, well, yeah, these things play a role, right? Like it goes back and forth. It's feedback loops, right? Where
well, how old is the original Avatar now? Is that 10 years?
I don't know.
Must be 10 years by now.
2009.
Oh wow, longer than that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't really know if it's, everybody wants to think about psyops. I like to think of collective consciousness, or it's just like the water we're swimming in, and we're all headed in the same direction. And like I said, when the first Avatar came out, I liked it, but now I'm actually watching it being fulfilled, and I'm like, and my husband, he liked it. He liked the first Avatar, and then we were all excited for the second one, and it took them so long to make it that we forgot about it. Yeah. And then I heard it was made. I didn't know the third one was already out.
Yeah, the third one just came out like a couple of weeks ago.
And I was thinking about watching it, but then I thought, no, now that I'm living in the first movie,
I don't want to manifest the next
I don't really
one.
want to watch the second movie.
Right.
And I'm definitely not watching the third one.
Yeah. And by the way, my daughter liked the film. She had some critiques of it, actually. She wasn't impressed with some of the storytelling and the pacing. But I didn't lay on her my whole demonic take on it, because
no, you can't.
That's way too burdensome for her. Yeah, I'm not going to burden that relationship with that.
No. And look, I mean, ignorance is
and
bliss.
I enjoyed sitting next to her and watching it, right? Like I'm not going to lie.
Did you hear me? I said ignorance is bliss sometimes.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like I remember watching The Matrix and thinking, oh my God, that is the most incredible thing of it. Meanwhile, it was.
Well, that movie changed my life. It really did. I saw it 7 times in the theater. That's why I started going to martial arts class, and like within a year, I was no longer Mormon.
Oh, really?
Maybe it wasn't. Yeah, let's see. Maybe it was a little longer than that, but it definitely played a huge role in me not being Mormon.
You mean Marshall McLuhan and Pierre Elliott Trudeau wrote letters to each other? That guy was talk about demonic. Interesting. Letters of Marshall McLuhan and Pierre Elliott Trudeau. Yeah. Yeah, well, thanks for the review. That's all I need.
Yeah, no, I would not recommend. It also drives me crazy because I'm kind of a film lover. For a long time, I was a big fan of films, right? There's not many good films coming out anymore. But what was very distracting to me is that he used an effect where about 40% of the film was actually shot in 48 frames per second instead of 24. So most film is shot in 24 frames a second. But like for the high motion, and especially because it's 3D, he filmed a lot of it in 48 frames a second. And to me, so then and they use like these like motion smoothing techniques and stuff. And so basically to me, it looks like Mexican soap opera. Like it drives me crazy. Oh. And it was so it like the whole movie didn't feel like I was watching a movie. It felt like I was watching a video game. It was very weird. So it was just like that almost felt like it was part of the spell. You know what I mean? Where it's
have you noticed?
Made it feel more dreamlike instead of like something I was supposed to be taking seriously.
Yeah.
Which actually made it more of a powerful spell, because it's not trying to be filming. It was trying to be dreamy.
Thank you, Matthew. I'll have to look into that. Have you noticed that all progress is given to us at this point is just shitty quality?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it's stories, furniture, food, agriculture, movies, like
Yeah.
name anything that has like exceedingly incredible quality at this point in time. It doesn't exist.
Not much. No.
If you want something of high quality, you're going to have to make it yourself. Okay.
Right.
And
Well, the
and
Icelandic wool blankets were pretty nice. I'll give them that. But
Yeah.
anyway,
that's
yeah.
because it's wool.
Yeah, and it's handmade basically. So
Yeah. And but yeah, how much was it?
yeah, about between $200 and $300
Yeah. So
for a blanket. So
I mean, you know, if you have the money, you can buy one, or you can learn how to make one.
yeah,
But
you'd have to send me some bags of wool.
yeah, it's so funny, you know. My son-in-law, my youngest daughter's husband, I do virtually not alone Christmases, okay, with my family,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody's all over the world. So we always get on FaceTime and a family chat,
Yeah.
watch each other open gifts and everything.
Nice.
Been doing that for many years because,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes some of them come, but we've never all been together for many years.
Yeah.
And anyway, Amelia said she got a carved wooden spoon from her husband. And I was like, oh, that's crazy, because I got him a book on carving bowls and cups and wooden spoons.
Wow.
And he hadn't received it yet, because it actually just came yesterday or today. Anyway, and I said, really? He made you a spoon? Oh, that's so cool. I can't wait till he gets his gift from me.
Yeah, it's fun.
So isn't that funny?
Yeah.
But that's what they're all about, those two, right?
They
just got a hand pump for their well. And so they're hand pumping their water. It's outside.
Wow.
There's a lot of young people doing this, Jeremy.
Yeah. Oh, my daughter is so anti-AI. We're both weaning ourselves off our phones, but yeah, because we realize, you know, your whole life just gets sucked away. It's like, really, it's parasitic. It feels like I'm giving up my life to a parasite.
Yeah,
you know, it's not good.
Yeah. Well, it is parasitic because that's the only way it gets to have a body.
Right.
So it has to parasitize you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, on that note, I think I'm going to go blow my nose some more.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed. I got a big day tomorrow to get ready for our classic annual Christian book burning party.
Take some photos so we can see them the following week.
Okay, I will. I'll take some pictures.
See that. Yeah.
So we have in case you weren't here earlier in the show, for New Year's Eve, we have a party at our house. I have 2 burn barrels. My priest asked me to do this years ago, and we've been doing it ever since. We have 1 barrel for burning holy items, so people can bring, like, if you have something that, you know, like too many leaves from Palm Sunday, or, you know, too many of the palm leaves, or if you have an icon that's been damaged, or scriptures that have been damaged, or prayer book that's worn out, you can bring it, burn it. And then we have a separate burn barrel for people who are converting. We've had people who bring books from their former religions. We've had people who bring occult items to burn and stuff like that. So, because they don't want to just throw them away, they don't want somebody else to be affected by those things. So we burn all of those spirits out too, and then just bury everything. So
yeah.
So tomorrow is that party. We're having the burn the stuff that needs to be burned and get ready for the new year party.
We're also going to burn piles.
Yeah, and you're also burning. Good. Yeah, cleansing.
But not holy things. Well, they are holy because they were trees. So.
Yeah. But you can burn, like, if you need to dispose of holy things, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to burn them.
Right.
So, yeah, like icons, or, you know, if you have an icon that's damaged, or if you spill coffee on your Bible,
really,
and it doesn't open anymore, you're supposed to burn holy things. Yeah, you're not supposed to just throw them away.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. So also, like koliva is that boiled wheat that they make for the memorial services.
Mhm.
You're also supposed to not just throw that away. You're supposed to feed that to the birds, not just throw it in the trash. But like, yeah, sometimes, you know, if you get a catalog and it's filled with icons, technically you're supposed to burn that, not just throw it in the trash.
Oh, because it's full of holy icons.
It's you got icons, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So just something
Oh,
to
that's
keep
beautiful.
in mind. Yeah.
Love it. These
So,
are the things I love the most.
you too. Well, go blow your nose. Go
Sorry.
go drink some scotch or something. Go clean it, or something spicy. Go drink some go put some Tabasco sauce in hot toddy or something. Clear out your sinuses.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. Or horseradish. Go eat a horseradish sandwich.
Ooh.
You know, just get ham and just get a slice of ham and put a bunch of horseradish on it.
Oh.
That'll clear out
No,
your
that's
sinuses.
something you can do, Jeremy. I can't do that.
Good night, Slackarius is saying good night, and
Good night,
good night, good night.
Bye, Matthew. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for coming along for the ride. We're glad you're here. Glory to God. Please join us. We do this most Tuesday nights.
Yeah, pretty much.
Every
We're
once in
pretty
a while we skip
faithful.
one, but
Yeah.
we try to do it pretty consistently. So we'll see you next Tuesday. If God willing, we'll be here.
We're here come hell or high water.
Or some personal family thing.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.